It is now 5 o'clock, May 15, 2018, and I call to order the meeting of the City Council of the City of Victorville. In the City Council sitting is the Library Board of Trustees, Southern California Logistics Rail Authority, Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, successor agency to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency, the Victorville Joint Powers Financing Authority, the Victorville Water District, and the city is Housing Assets successor. May we have roll call, please?
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Ms. Gomez? Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
Mr. Negretti?
Here.
Mayor Garcia?
Here.
Ms. Gomez absent.
This is the time and place for the general public to address the City Council on any item listed or not listed on the agenda per Government Code Section 54954.3. State law prohibits the Council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. The Council may receive testimony and set the matter to a subsequent meeting. This session here is mainly for our closed session items. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak at this time? Did you fill out a card? Is there anyone that would like to speak? There's no one?
Before you leave that, are you aware that it's an hour that we'll be gone?
Yes, we won't be back until 6. So our regular session will convene at 6 p.m. So we will now recess to, oh, I'm sorry, I need to call for the closed session items. May we have
the city
declaration
clerk
of closed
addresses
session
that I'm
items
here.
by
Thank
City
you.
Attorney, please?
Several items this evening for closed session, several of which are related. Item A is anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 D2, and the facts and circumstances related to that are set forth pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 E3. Item B and C on behalf of the City Council are related to items H, I, J, and K on behalf of the Airport Authority. That is all pending litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 D1. The case names and case numbers are fully set forth on the agenda. Item D is related, on behalf of the City Council, is related to item L on behalf of the Airport Authority. Again, this is existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 D1. And again, the case names and case numbers are set forth on the agenda. Items E and F are both real property negotiations pursuant to Government Code 54956.8. And with respect to both E and F, the negotiating parties as well as the property designation are set forth fully on the agenda. At this point, there is no need to have a closed session on item G. And so with that, to the extent there is reportable action on any of those items, we will report it either at the conclusion of the closed session or immediately at the commencement of the 6 o'clock regular session.
Thank you. We will not recess to our closed session, and then we will start our regular session, convenes at 6 p.m. The conference room across the way, is that available? It is? They opened the conference room across the way so that people can go over there. It is now 6:07. May 15, 2018. And I call to order the meeting of the City Council of the City of Victorville. And the City Council sitting as the Library Board of Trustees, Southern California Logistics Rail Authority, Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, successor agency to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency, the Victorville Joint Powers Financing Authority, the Victorville Water District, and the City Housing Asset successor. May we have roll call, please?
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Ms. Gomez?
Good evening, everyone.
Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
Mr. Negretti?
Here.
Mayor Garcia.
Here. At this time, can we have closed session announcements by our city attorney, please?
Thank you, Mayor Garcia. We had several items on closed session. However, several of the matters were related. Item A was anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 D2, and the facts and circumstances related to that are set forth pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 E3. Items B and C is pending litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 D1. Items B and C on behalf of the City Council are related to items H, I, J, K on behalf of the Airport Authority, and again, the case names and case numbers are fully set forth on the agenda. Item D is also existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 D1, and it is related to item L on behalf of the Airport Authority. Again, the case names and case numbers are set forth on the agenda. Item E and item F were real property negotiations pursuant to Government Code 54956.8. The real properties in question are set forth on the agenda, as are the negotiating parties. We did not have any need to go into closed session on item G, and there is no reportable action other than to make a very brief statement with respect to items D and L, which is the SEC litigation. We want the public to know that the court dates in the SEC matter have been taken off calendar as a result of what we believe to be significant progress towards settlement. Other than that, there is no reportable action.
Thank you. We will have the invocation, and that will be delivered by Father Patrick Travers of Holy Innocents Catholic Church, and the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Police Chief Rick Bassinger. Please stand.
Let's bow our heads and pray. Heavenly Father, as we gather here this evening, let us count our blessings for our homes, our families, our opportunities, our citizenship in this blessed of all countries, in its natural resources and the genius of its people. We pray that the policies and regulations for the health, safety, and welfare of Victorville's inhabitants will benefit the large diversity of people in this jurisdiction, and that decisions made by our council will come from their humanity and compassion toward all. This is the time when we should be concerned and worried about the direction and intentions not only of our city council, but city government in every city in America. Councils everywhere have so much more on their agendas than administration policies, as well as adopting budgets and legislation. Unfortunately, today's political climate can be daunting in other decisions thrust upon our council that can have adverse effects upon the large diversity of human beings under their control. Decisions made in today's world will be authored by name, some good and some bad, having long-term effects in our lives. And so we pray that our council will continue to administer their duties with the needs and welfare of the inhabitants foremost in their minds, that in their decisions they will promote peace, order, and justice without any conflicting interests or issues. I ask this in the name of your Son. Amen. Amen.
This evening we do have our city clerk who will be swearing in our new fire chief, Greg Benson. And after the swearing in, we will have a proclamation, and I will be presenting that one. So our city clerk will now do the swearing in.
I, Greg Benson, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties about which I'm about to enter.
And I would like to invite Elena Edwards from the House Foundation to come forward and join me, please. Elena, I'm proud to join the Victorville City Council in proclaiming May is Lupus Awareness Month in the city of Victorville. Lupus is an autoimmune disease that affects approximately 1.5 million Americans. This disease can affect any part of your body, which makes it unpredictable and difficult to diagnose. We encourage our community to learn more about lupus and to promote awareness, prevention, and early detection of this often misunderstood disease. And now I present this proclamation to you. I will not read it, it's quite lengthy, but nevertheless, congratulations. We have a big schedule ahead of us, but nevertheless, congratulations, and thank you for all the wonderful work that you do for this lupus organization.
Are you the sergeant at arms? Sit down, Blanca. Yeah, who are you to tell me? Sit down. Hold on, wait a minute. We love each other. She's not the sergeant of arms. Who's she? What's she doing? Crook, take your seat.
Please, let's try and have a quiet, professional meeting, if possible. At this time, can we have our city clerk present the agenda to council and any revisions to the agenda, please?
The City Council of the City of Victorville welcomes the public's participation in tonight's meeting. Persons who wish to address the council on a specific item or any item that does not appear on the agenda are requested to complete one of the white speaker cards located in the council chambers lobby and give it to the city clerk prior to the meeting. The mayor will call upon each individual who has submitted a speaker card. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.3, state law prohibits the council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. The council may receive testimony and set the matter to a subsequent meeting. Comments made during the public hearings, written communications, or public comment sections of the agenda are to be limited to 3 minutes per speaker or less, as deemed necessary by the mayor. Communications are to be addressed directly to the city council. Individual comments to staff or members of the audience are not permitted. Any persons or group who interferes with the conduct of a city council meeting by willfully interrupting and/or disrupting the meeting is subject to removal. A peace officer may be requested to assist with removal should any person or group fail to comply with an order of removal by the council. Any person or group who resists removal by a peace officer is subject to arrest and prosecution pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957.9, Penal Code Section 403. Thank you for your cooperation. All documents to be considered for approval at this meeting are before the council. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. This evening, we do not have any appeal hearings. Out of courtesy to each and every one of you, I will be moving up our item D1 ahead of schedule. Instead of starting with our public hearing, we will be starting with item D1.
Madam Mayor and members of the council, if I might, just as a quick housekeeping item before getting into D1, and thank you for bringing that item forward. So we do have a full house tonight, as you can see here, but also in conference room D, which is just outside the room across the hall. We also have a room with chairs. We also have audio and video feeds built into that room. So for those members that are in that room that can hear this, certainly would encourage them as well to have filled out cards, and as we call them, to be ready to come forward. So we'll try to call them in advance. And as we're moving item D1 forward, perhaps those that are not here for D1 that might be here for other business, you might find conference room D much more accommodating until your item is heard. And then finally, just looking out, because we have a full house, and be respectful of all those that are here and perhaps even standing, maybe not totally comfortable. There's quite a few chairs that I can see visible, so I would certainly encourage members of the public maybe to move in a little bit if possible. That way seats can be accessed from the aisle, just to provide more members of the public to have an opportunity to sit down. So with that, those are my housekeeping items. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I do have quite a few cards. If there's a group of people that will be speaking on the same item, and you would like to have someone represent the group, I would recommend for you to do that, just so we don't take as long and just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. So if there is a group of people and you will be speaking on the same item in exactly the same way, it would be recommended that you do that. And due to the amount of cards that I do have, you will be limited to a 2-minute time for speaking. So it will not be 3 minutes, it will be a 2-minute time limit. At this time, I will be starting calling out the first card, and it will be Dr. Rita Ramirez, and after her, it will be Felix Diaz.
Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Rita Ramirez, and I'm here to support Sanctuary. As an educator, thank you very much. As an American of the third generation Californian, and my family being here 118 years, as well as an educator, community college of 38 years, I am concerned about our children in Victorville because they will be affected negatively. First, some children will lose their education because their parents will take them and they will leave our area. Our schools will lose educational programs because of daily attendance. Remember, monies are determined by attendance in school. This will impact the future of our school system. Secondly, with parents, the fear of immigration will affect economic development of our city and small businesses. When they leave, they will also take their monetary support of local businesses. Sanctuary needs to be supported because it's the guarantee of the Constitution, the state, and our American values. I will be representing the High Desert next year in Congress, and I expect that I will be here to fight for each and every one of you. But if you fail to approve sanctuary, all Hispanics will be profiled, whether we are all citizens and Americans, because we look alike. I find this discouraging. Where my father fought for this country in the Second War, my first cousin won the Congressional Medal of Honor in Korea. And I asked and said, why did you do it? We are all Americans. We should not live in fear. Thank you so much.
Could we refrain from clapping and getting out of control, please? We do want to hear the rest of the people that have filled out cards that would like to speak. So out of courtesy, can we just keep it down until the end? And I just request that, please. And after Felix Diaz, I will have Natalie Brown. Go ahead, Mr. Diaz.
Thank you. My name is Felix Diaz, born here in Victorville, and lived here all my life, all 84 years. I am an American. Amen. I am an American. What is an American? I ask people this all the time, and they always tell me one that is a citizen, one that acts like an American, one that does this, does that. You don't know what an American is. An American is a nationality. I'm an American because of my nationality. I was born here. But my culture, my heritage, my language, my ancestry comes from my parents who were born in Mexico. And yes, they came here, if you will, illegally. We were always afraid of La Migra. All my life, for the first 20 years of my life, we were afraid of the immigration authorities, because we never knew if they were going to come and get my father and take him and all of us back to Mexico. I am for ICE, don't get me wrong. I think they're doing a good job, but it's a two-way sword here. You know, well, let me go back to back in my youth. I saw on the corner of Verde and Center Street one morning, as I was coming from church, I was going home, and I saw these police, San Bernardino County sheriffs, and La Migra, immigration authorities.
You have 30 seconds.
And I think there were a couple of other people that were chasing these people, grabbing them by the hair and throwing them into police cars. That's the kind of thing we're afraid of. That's the kind of thing we're afraid of. If you vote for these, because this issue is not only hypocritical, It's racist. And the reason why I say hypocritical is because they're always talking about build the wall, build the wall. What about the North? What about building a wall across Canada and the United States?
Your time is up.
What's that? Time's up. Well, think about that.
I'm sorry, if we continue, I may have to call for recess. We want to continue hearing the people that want to speak. Natalie Brown, and after Natalie is Manuela Ortiz Varela.
Hi. So I think probably tonight we're going to hear a lot of moral arguments, but I actually just wanted to say that, one, I think that it's important to be in favor of SB 54 for economic reasons in addition to moral reasons. So economically, in looking at the bill, the fact is that it's just ensuring that cities and the state don't take additional resources away from things they need, like schools and infrastructure, to assist with ICE. It isn't about whether ICE exists or not or what they're doing. It's about what the state funding puts towards this in addition to what they're already doing. So I just think that that's important to acknowledge, in addition to the fact that we're all human beings. And I think that is incredibly important to remember in this country. Thank you.
Mariela Jaques, and after Mariela will be Kayla, DH. Is Kayla in this room?
All 5 names at a time.
Chanel Temple.
Hello, good afternoon, Mariela.
Which one?
Mariela Jaques.
Mariela. Okay, thank you. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, my name is Mariela Jaques. I'm a member of the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. I am also a resident of Hesperia. I am here today to speak on behalf of the hundreds of undocumented families that live here in the high desert who were too afraid to come to this meeting today and voice their opinions. Today, I am here to ask you to please dismiss the possibility of joining the amicus brief against California in regards to SB 54. First, I would like to state that SB 54 does not protect criminals like many anti-immigrants say. SB 54 simply gives everyone, regardless of their documentation and regardless of their status, the right to due process. SB 54 limits cooperation between ICE and police, state police, but it doesn't impede anyone from doing their job. SB 54 is not only a law now in California, but it's also a symbol of relief for all of our undocumented community who are too afraid to voice their opinions or report a crime because they are in fear of deportation. Everyone, regardless of their immigration status, deserves the right to be protected, whether by police or, in this case, the Sheriff's Department. And if, in fact, the Sheriff's Department does not cooperate with ICE, there is no need to be against SB 54.
You have 30 seconds.
Lastly, I would like to state that SB 54 is already a law, and what you decide here is a symbol for your beliefs. Do you want to follow a racist agenda, or do you actually want to do what's right for the community? So I really hope that you make the right decision, and you don't create any more division amongst our communities. Thank you.
My name is Chanel Temple, and I'm an activist in the Black community. Good evening, Victorville Council. I have a question. Why are we here concerning SB 54? According to the California Constitution, Article 3, Section 1, quote, "The state of California is an inseparable part of the United States of America, and the United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land, unquote. We have a right, not only under the United States Constitution, but under the California Constitution to be protected. SB 54 is going to protect criminal, illegal aliens. I live in the black community. Black families have been firebombed. Black families have been attacked. Members of the black family have been killed by illegal aliens. And what happens? They get catch and release. In the black community, we get 3 strikes and we get locked up in jail. That is 2 sets of laws, and we're not going to have it. We're asking you to stand and respect the Constitution of the United States and also of America. And speaking of racism, it's racist to sit up here and lie and say you're diverse when 90% of you have all the jobs. You have kicked blacks off of their jobs, black American citizens that were born in this country, and then you ride off our curtail off of the 14th Amendment
You
and
have 30
think that you have the
seconds.
right to be here up under the 14th, which was written for black slaves. We have had enough. And you know it's not right. Our day will come, and we're going to stand. And we're asking you not to approve SB 54. It was not voted for by the people in California, and it's constitutional under the United States government and up under the California Constitution. Again, we're asking you to support American
Your
citizens
time is
who
up.
deserve to be protected.
Hi, my name is Kayla Ott, and I'm going to be speaking on behalf of support for SB 54. I would like to start with reading from the Declaration of Independence, which states that we hold these truths self-evident that all men are created equal, and that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it says all men, all. These are human beings, and we need to bring the humanity into this issue. We treat immigrants as if they're just numbers or statistics when they are not. They're human beings with lives and families. What would you do to ensure the happiness and the safety of your children? Because I know that I would stop at nothing for the people that I love. If I could ensure that they had a great future, I would do whatever I could. We are a nation of immigrants. We started with immigration. I am of German, Irish, and Syrian descent. My father is half Syrian, and he came here legally. And he's still treated racistly. He is still doubted. No matter how these people come here, they will always be doubted.
You have 30 seconds.
I want you to know that I come from a place of love and belief in humanity, and we should all have faith that humanity will win, and we should do the humane thing, and we should not separate families based on racism and bigotry. We should make our decisions on common sense and love, because at the source of humanity there is love. Thank you.
I believe I did ask for you to refrain from clapping. I don't want to keep repeating myself. The next person is Eric Duran, I believe it is, and then after Eric will be Vaughn Bent.
Good evening. My name is Eric. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I'd like to say a quick thank you to the law enforcement in the room. Always like to thank them. And also to you, to this body, for undertaking this difficult decision, this difficult discussion. I was born in California. I went to Marine Corps boot camp in California. I shipped off to war from California, and I'll probably die right here in California. This is my land, my country. My ancestors are buried here. My grandfather fought in World War II and was wounded at the Battle of the Bulge. He's buried here. My commanding officer in the Marine Corps is buried here. Our country matters. I find it really offensive for people to step up here and say, oh, America is just one big shopping mall, just an open-air shopping center. We have a culture, we have borders, and we have laws. I've been the victim of immigrant crime, or illegals who broke into my condo building, bashed it up, trashed all the plants, painted the walls, did everything they could to destroy it. And the police said, you know what, we got no way of catching these people because they're ghosts. They don't exist. They don't have social security numbers. They don't really exist. If we get lucky, maybe we can stumble across him, but he's probably across the border in Mexico by now. Every member of this council, including the crooked member of this council, took an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution, just like this brave chief, this firefighter just took right in front of us. Did you hear the words of that oath? To uphold and defend the Constitution. You all took that very same oath, and we take it very seriously. I would urge you, respectfully urge you, to abide by the oath that you took to protect this country. Immigration is still legal. People can come here legally. Crooks have no business being in this country. We come first. Thank you.
After Vaughn will be Irma Bloy.
Anyway, my name is Vaughn Bent. The illegal aliens pour across our porous southern borders, costing American people our cherished sovereignty, our safety, and billions of dollars annually in welfare payments, education, tuition, benefits, and health care. Sanctuary cities violate federal immigration law and are breeding grounds for terrorists, safe havens for rapists, murderers, drug dealers, and MS-13 gang member punks. The safety of American people is threatened every day by the swamp in D.C. and Sacramento, swine under the vile, corrupt leadership of Jerry Moonbeam Brown, Xavier Becerra, an arrogant ass, and the soulless, vile man, Senator Kevin DeLon, who authored SB 54, or California Values Act. Liberal is truly a mental disorder. We, real, legit, truly, liberal is truly a mental disorder. Do I get my time? He's interrupting me. Let's keep our sovereign borders secure. We don't want to become a third world country with mob rule mentality. I implore you to reject this atrocious work of corruption and lawlessness. Opt out or file an amicus brief. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Irma. And then Deanne after Irma.
It's spelled B-L-O-W-Y.
How about Deanne? Is she no last name? Deanne? Candy Harrow. Yeah, Harrow. Uh-huh.
Good evening. My name is Deanne Deline. I live in Victorville. God bless the city council. God bless the state of Israel, and God bless USA. We need to eliminate SB 54. SB 54 takes away our freedoms. No one has our authority to say who is a criminal and who should be deported. We decide. We as the people elected those who make the laws. We need to follow them. If we don't follow them, we have nothing but chaos. And there are many people who want to see the United States and California in chaos so they can take it over. One I heard declared that another did not respect authority. Newsflash, you're not an authority, Blanca. You are a servant of the people. You were elected by the people to serve the people, not to have authority over them. You can serve us by voting to get rid of SB 54 and the chaos it's causing. We need to take care of our vets, our homeless, our
30
foster
seconds.
kids, not the illegal aliens coming for free handouts. Thank you for letting me talk.
I had called out for Candy Herrer. I don't know if she's here. You are? Okay. After you will be Leonore Ferris.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and we appreciate the job that you do as council members to serve our communities up in the high desert, which I'm been a member for the past 24 years. I respectfully urge you to support the constitutional laws that are in, that this state, this is in question, excuse me. This issue is not about one people. A lot of people, it sounds like they think it's about Mexico. It's not about Mexico. It's all about all illegal immigrants. It doesn't matter what country you come from. I have many dear, dear friends that are immigrants from all over the world. Russia, China, Colombia, Canada. There's many, many people. And my family and my husband's family were all military families. They've all fought and served in World War I, World War II, everything. We're very supportive of our country. We believe that we should stand up for what we believe in and fight for what our country does for us and gives to us. You have 30 seconds. So thank you for your time, and I urge you to uphold the law because the illegals are a drain on society. We're not breaking up families. If they want to stay, let them find legislation or people that will help them do the paperwork. They're welcome as long as they're here legally. And I think that's what should be their goal instead of it just insisting. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Leonore Ferris, and I oppose the SB 54. The reason is I'm legal immigrant. I came here 6 years ago, and I obeyed the law. Always. I never voted until I became American citizen. I comply with every rule, the American. I came here to honor the American flag. I didn't bring my flag with me. I left it in my country. Every time, I don't care what country you come from, but you come here legally. It's a slap in my face that all people like me, they come here legally and disobey, and they have in front of me is a whole bunch of illegals. When I obey the law and never make an infraction, barely run a stop sign, ever. I always do what is right. And I raise my kids that way. So, and on top of that, the illegals killed my grandson, murdered my grandson. He was 22 years old. They're still here in the sanctuary city. They're supposed to, that's that hurt me.
You have 30
I'm
seconds.
so sad, very upset, because people like illegal immigrants are here first, then us, no. And thank you for hearing me. And I oppose SB 54.
April Pinkston. And then I have, after that, I'll have J. something Willis.
I'll be very brief. My name is April Pinkston, and I am a United States veteran. I strongly oppose AB 54. I so strongly oppose it that I would advocate for any of you that do not uphold your oath of office to be removed from office post haste and to be arrested for violating your oath of office and for violating the Constitution. Okay? My family immigrated from England, and we immigrated legally. I'm not against anybody. I don't care what color you are. We all bleed the same color. But come here legally. I fought for this country. I fought for freedom. And illegals, what part of illegal don't you get? Thank you. That's all.
Good evening. I'd like to ask you to think about opting out, of course, because of the illegality of it and the racistness of it.
Sir, I'm sorry, could you state your name?
John Willis. It's highly racist because no other group has come to this country and expected an extra set of rules, dispensations, and handouts. Every other group came to this country, they thrived, they didn't ask for anything, but now we got a group that, oh no, if we get arrested, don't call the authorities on us. I don't know, I don't get it. Does this group, they can't stand on their own? Is that why we need to help them because they're weak or they're not smart enough? What is it? No one cares what race you are. I mean, my wife is actually from Mexico. My daughter speaks to me mostly in Spanish. So this thing about racism on my end is completely incorrect. And I've got to speak against a couple of speakers. One lady got up here and said, oh, we need illegal immigrants because of schools and the economy. California used to be in the top 5 of schools in the country. Anybody know where they're at now? 26. And I think that's a direct correlation to illegal immigration. And the lawlessness of it is just insane. Jeff Sessions last week says 0 tolerance for illegal border incursions. What part of this illegal don't you get, people? We don't care where you're from. This lady just said she's from Colombia. She was able to come here legally. Why can't this group come from Mexico legally? What's the problem? And why did you bus all these commies and lawyers up here? What's wrong with you? You must hate our country, ma'am. We love our flag. We love our country. We hate leftism. We hate commies. And we're going to fight you tooth and nail. Look at me when I'm talking to you, savage. You're going to hell, lady, for sure.
If we continue this, we will have to call a recess, and I mean it this time. Ariana Nocello, and then Myrna Velasco.
Good evening. My name is Ariana Nocello, and I am a 17-year-old resident of Victorville. I have been a proud resident of Victorville, California for my entire life. This includes my mother and my father, who both illegally immigrated but were granted amnesty. I am the product of an illegal immigrant. I have a 4.3 GPA that I have held throughout my entire high school career, and I will be attending UC Santa Cruz in the upcoming fall because my father fought for our country. I will be attending UC Santa Cruz for free because of the work he did to honor our country. I am a United States citizen, and I am proud to be of the United States. I am proud to say that my parents were illegal immigrants and now are legal. Yes. It is with this power and this honor that I have within me that I understand that those who are like my family need a place, and that America has always been a place for our people. We are united, and we should be united. And I am asking the Victorville City Council to continue that great heritage of the United States of America and continue that lineage for the opportunity of all citizens, whether they are legal or not. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Myrna. I'm calling a 10-minute recess. Maybe everybody will settle down. They don't want to settle down. I'm sorry. Okay, 10-minute recess. 10 minutes. The first person that I have is Myrna Velasco, and after Myrna will be Raul Rodriguez. And can we quiet down so that the people speaking can actually speak and the rest of us can hear them?
Ready?
Excuse me for not letting you speak.
Oh, it's okay, Gloria. You're my girlfriend. It's okay. Hi, my name is Myrna Velasco, and I am an American citizen. Hear me out first, everybody. Hear me out. My oldest son is 31. He's a law student. Actually has his own practice now. I have a 26-year-old stationed at Camp Pendleton, a Marine serving our country. Yes. I have a 21-year-old. If you guys could, please, you're going to want to listen to this. I have a 21-year-old who goes to UC San Diego, becoming an oncologist. I have a 19-year-old who had cancer, 7 tumors. We fought for her. She won. We have a 14-year-old next top model that I homeschool. I have a 13-year-old that had mental retardation that I went against all odds, didn't get an abortion. That's what they wanted me to do, the right thing to do. Now she is normal. Well, we say normal. I have the first case in the United States, 11-year-old autistic child, that I did everything right. I obeyed the law, and I got him vaccinated. The very next day, he was never the same. He became autistic. I have an amazing 8-year-old, which actually she's a co-host because I am on 98.7 New Vision 360 every day at 4 o'clock. And I also have my own television shows that will be out of the high desert, out of Victorville, California, and they'll be on Netflix and on Channel 7. Having said that, not only am I an American citizen, I hear everybody talking about the laws. What about the law of God? Okay? That paper there, by the way, your flag shouldn't be carried like that, sweetheart. It should be waving. First of all, what you guys really need to understand, if right now, if today was the last day of your life,
You have 30
the last
seconds.
day of your life, where would you guys go when you guys close your eyes? I know that I'm going to go to heaven, okay? And do what's in your heart. That's all I'm saying. Do what's in your heart. Stop, put everything aside. Listen to your inner voice. At the end of the day, it's going to be you and your Creator. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Raul Rodriguez, and after Raul will be Bill Kaser, or Kesar. Kesar.
I'd like to start by asking everybody here a question. What would Jesus do when it comes to lawbreakers? What would he do? He'd turn them back, and he'd say, you don't belong here because you're lawbreakers. Anybody that's in this country illegally, and that might even be you, Blanca, because you continue to promote illegal immigration. You continue to work with Sherla, La Raza, and the ACLU. That is terrible. They are all communist organizations. They are, and you know it. So if you're for those organizations, then I got to pray for you guys, because you're all don't have it together. You're all traitors. You don't belong in this country if you don't have legal papers to say you're a legal citizen. I love this flag. I was born in this country, and I'm going to continue to fight for this country, because we, the people, are going to win in the end, because we love this country, and we're going to fight for every inch of this country. This is California. We love California, America, and how much time do I have?
39 seconds.
Anyway, God bless America, and God bless Donald Trump. One more thing. Suck it up, Buttercup. You lost
You
the
have 30
election.
seconds.
Get over it.
Go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name's Bill Keyser. I'm a former United States Marine, and I'm also a former law enforcement officer or reserve with the city of Colton. According to what I read on the internet, murder is the unlawful, premeditated killing of one human being by another. Since September 11, 2001, over 61,000 of our fellow Americans have been killed by illegal aliens, mostly from across our border with Mexico. Many of those killed have been victims of first-degree murder. This sadly would include a number of our heroes of law enforcement. It also includes victims of auto accidents, drunk driving, an issue here often. There are cases of manslaughter. The unfortunate Kate Steinle, I think, is a very good example. I will never be able to understand how Governor Brown and State Attorney General Xavier Becerra can be so blind to this terrible tragedy. Many of our citizens who have lost friends and loved ones have got to be frustrated beyond words. I thank President Trump and Attorney General Jeff Sessions for doing all they can to stop this invasion of the United States. To have sanctuary for illegal aliens in any way is, in my opinion, an obscenity. The people who are pushing SB 54 talk often of compassion. I have compassion for people like the Angel Moms of America, mothers who have had children killed by people who are illegally in this country. I say no to sanctuary states and cities. I say no to SB 54. Deport the illegal aliens, and because of gangs like MS-13,
Your time
I
is
also
up.
say deport their anchor babies as well. Thank you, Blanca Gomez.
Now I have Robin Henston. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And after that will be Dr. Newman.
I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but Hvidston. Sorry, I can't pronounce that.
My name is Robin Vidston, and I'm the director with We the People Rising and the Remembrance Project, and we have members here in Victorville. I would like to the Remembrance Project honors those in our country killed by people here illegally, our American citizens. Officer Greg Bailey of Victorville was killed on his way home from work. He was a LA County Sheriff's Deputy, or San Bernardino County Sheriff's Deputy, excuse me. He was killed by an illegal alien on his way home from work, and I would just like to honor him this evening. SB 54 is a very specific bill, and what it does is it protects criminal aliens. It stops local law enforcement from communicating with immigration authorities for anything other than a serious felony. For example, SB 54 only allows local law enforcement to contact immigration officials on a DUI if it is a felony DUI. The majority of DUIs are misdemeanors in California. Another example is if a person in the country illegally bails out of custody. Local law enforcement cannot contact immigration officials. So what is happening is this is allowing criminal aliens to be returned to our country and to our communities. I have an article I'm going to hand in to you where the ICE director between January and March in California came up with the number that about 5,000 criminal aliens who were released from custody have gone forward to commit crimes in California. And I'm going to hand in that documentation. Please, in the name of public safety and to keep our families safe, tonight vote to oppose SB 54. It is very bad for our communities. Thank you.
After Dr. Newman will be our Pumas.
I'm Dr. Newman, and thank you for the opportunity to express my freedom here at Victorville City Council. I'm going to read you something that you've heard earlier this evening, but it's very important that we submit it to memory. I, the member of City Council, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. I'm going to read to you Article 6 of the United States Constitution, and it's actually paragraph 2. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuant thereof, and all the treaties made, of which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and that the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, and anything in the Constitution or laws of any state in the contrary notwithstanding. Thank you.
The next person is Gamil Medina, and after Gamil, Pedro Garcia. Pedro?
Pedro. I am Pedro.
Gamil Medina, is he here? No? Pedro Garcia. And after Pedro Garcia, Fernando Hernandez.
Good evening, everyone. I am Pedro Garcia. I am being here for a while, and with all respect, in my opinion, all of you have not achieved anything good for the community. And on top of that, you bring the issue of SB 54. I don't see anything good for the city of Victorville. Thank you.
Fernando Hernandez, and then Socorro Cisneros.
I've got, what, 3 minutes?
2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. My name's Fernando Hernandez. I'm a resident of the high desert. I'm a Vietnam veteran. And I served this country. My brothers served this country. My cousins served in Vietnam. And some of them were not citizens. The Marines, the Army were happy to take them when the time came. I had friends in Vietnam that died not being citizens. They were immigrants. Illegal, nobody cared at that time. Today we have the same situation. We have DACA. We have Marines right now at Camp Pendleton that are not legal. They're not legal. We have our military overseas that are dying, who are not legal, as you put it. These are human beings that are here serving this country, hoping to get a piece of this country, to be prosperous and learn and be an American. But we decided all of a sudden that we're just not going to follow the law. Everybody in here stands by saying, we stand by the law. We're a country of laws. And yet,
you have 30
when
seconds.
the law comes from Sacramento and says SB 54 is now the law, you want to challenge it. If you want to challenge it, vote. Give these people up here the respect that they deserve. They're the elected officials, just like the elected officials in Sacramento. The law is the law. You follow the law. You don't fight it until you get down to the ballot box. Thank you.
I'm depending on you too. I'm depending on you. You promised. You promised.
Good evening. My name is Socorro Cisneros. Let's see. Where do I start here? First of all, SB 54 is the law. Those that are against it should have been in Sacramento because it is the law now. Okay, well, nevertheless, it's the law. Thank you. Thank you. I'm talking. You had your turn, sir. It's the law, and I trust that all of you read the bill in its entirety, because if you would note that no criminal gets off. They go to jail regardless if they're legal or illegal. The only thing is that they're being held for ICE after a judge deems them to go free. And what happens then? ICE could take 1 day, 1 month, up to 6 months. Not only are you holding that person against their will and against the judge's orders, but you're doing it at your dime. You guys were all elected to be responsible for the monies. Why are you going to approve wasting city and county resources on something that is a federal issue? We should not be involved with that. It's the law in California, and we are Victorville, part of California. You guys are not... I think my biggest pet peeve is that people don't read. People don't read the bill in its entirety. If anything, it provides safety. Because if you had read that bill, you would know that there would be pedophiles that would be immediately deported and not released to ICE, just immediately deported, thus ensuring safer communities in our California. So I am very much in favor of upholding the California law and SB 54.
Okay, next is Roger LaPlante, and then Angel Torres.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. Thank you.
Hope
My
I
name
pronounced your name correctly.
Yes, you did. Thank you. My name is Roger LaPlante. It's French, by the way. I'm here representing the California Democratic Veterans Caucus in support of SB 54. Shalom Aleichem. That means peace be with you in Hebrew. I come from a long line of immigrants. French on my father's side, Jewish Eastern European on my mother's side. If the United States wasn't an immigration sanctuary for my family, I would not be here right now. I would have been killed in the gas chambers along with all my family members. That's just the way it is. We need to stop this. We need to follow the California state law. I served on the battlefield as well with many immigrants that weren't properly documented. They came back and some of them made the cut and they were able to immigrate properly. Some of them weren't. Some of them were deported down to Tijuana. We set up a home for these guys down there from the Veterans Caucus, and we're trying to get their rights restored. They fought in combat for this country and they were deported. And I just think it's absolutely wrong. And just please follow the state law of California. Everybody swears an oath. We swear an oath to the state of California as well. You cannot leave that out. Our state laws are applied and they are for the benefit of our citizens. And also I want to make one thing clear. The United States flag is not clothing, so everybody wearing it as clothing, you should be ashamed of yourself. Thank you very much.
Angel Torres, and after Angel, Maria Galvan. Angel Torres. Angel, A-N-G-E-L. Maria Galvan.
Good evening. Thank you for having us today. I just want to say that what they are doing is only wasting on time and money. That is no use. SB 54 will not be taken away. This is a law. That must be respect. This is just a wave of hatred and racism that you are making against the immigrant community. The immigrant community has no benefit and pay taxes, just like the citizens of this country. So stop these waves of hatred and discrimination against the community and let the people live and live in peace in your community. When I came here, a lady just grabbed my arm and say, you can go a bit first to me. So this is not okay. It's allow a lot of people think they can hear us when they want. Thank you.
Elsie Perez. I'm sorry, but it's so difficult to hear and to speak when everybody's so noisy. I don't know why you're doing it. Maybe you just don't want to be respectful. Elsie Perez, and then after Elsie, Maggie Martin.
Good evening. My name is Elsie Perez. I'm coming from work right now. I was working 12 hours. For today, I come in to support the bill SB 54 because I'm not criminal. Immigrants, we are not criminals when we are working hard. We pay taxes year by year. We work day by day. We're doing the job that a lot of people don't like to do, and it's not an easy job. So I just want to say, I need these people are here in this room, just respect immigrants. Maybe they don't know about the culture. They don't know how hard it is to learn the language when you come in here, when we come in here. I am here, my mother is here, my grandma is here, and more than 4 generations we are here already. I'm proud to be here, undocumented. We pay taxes. I am happy to be here, and I'm proud to be here in this country because I love this country. I'm having a better opportunities here, and God bless America. And one more thing I want to say, just respect these people. We're working hard. We are not criminals. Immigration is beautiful. And one more thing, all the immigrants are welcome here.
You have 30 seconds.
Amen.
I'll repeat myself. You just like to be rowdy and disrespectful. Maggie Martin, and then after Maggie, Jennifer Sterling.
Good evening, Your Honor, and counsel. Listen, I've been standing over there against the wall listening to a lot of people speak, but here's what we haven't touched on. This whole immigration thing is about control and who has jurisdiction and power over immigration, which is clearly stipulated by the Constitution to the federal authority. So that's what this amicus brief is about. I'm supposing, I looked it up the other day on my cell phone, it was like 43 pages. I'm like, oh my God, I can't read all that on my cell phone. But I get the gist of it. It is to the president and to the federal authority to maintain control of all immigration issues. Okay, that's how it's defined. So I'm hearing a lot in general, out there in the world and from members in the audience here about the state of California. This is what the fight's about, is let's put the authority where it really belongs. And I hear a lot of people in the audience and elsewhere saying, let's respect the state law. It's a law. I'm hearing it from back here. Well, and they're speaking to you, and it's the law. Well, we have the right as citizens to redress our grievances to the government, and that includes the right of appeal to those laws. So that's what it's all about, is who has control. Who has control over national security, the safety, the crime rates, whatever stigmas we want to, all of us, attach to it. It's about control. And I keep saying that. It's kind of redundant, I'm sorry. But I don't personally want anybody here that's not here legally. I feel I have the right to say that and be respected as I say that, as they speak, and I listen with respect and an open mind to what they're saying. That's it. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Jennifer, and after Jennifer will be Beverly Welch.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for taking this up. I know that this is a very emotional, heated thing, and I'd like to take the emotions out of it and just talk about the health and safety of this particular issue. I think a lot of people are very confused and very passionate, but this is the facts. This is only about felons, people who have committed crimes. If you're all good little folks and you haven't committed any crimes, you have nothing to worry about. It's insulting to the local law enforcement in this city who've worked tirelessly and effortlessly to make a community and work with the people. It's wrong to do that to our law enforcement. They have no intentions of going around scooping up mommies trying to take their kids to school or go to work. Let's just stick with the facts. Let's just go ahead and go to the California State Sheriff's Association and see what they say. They say the sheriff remains opposed to SB 54 unless it's further amended. Even after the amendment, the California State Sheriff wants to make it very clear, contrary to Senator De Leon's comments, we disagree fully with this. Our overreaching concerns remains the limiting local law enforcement's ability to communicate and cooperate with federal law enforcement and endangers public safety. What is so hard about that to understand? The current SB 54 would preclude staff from our jails from notifying ICE and their request for pending the release of certain wanted unwanted, undocumented criminals, including but not limited to repeat drunk drivers, misdemeanors, hit and run drivers, violent felonies, manslaughters, human trafficking, repeat drunk drivers, hit and run, domestic violence, assault to police officers. This is crazy that we have to have this conversation. This is not about immigration. If you're a good little immigrant and you're not supposed to be here, lucky you. You still have a free pass. This is about felons. I need us to stop doing the catch and release. I need you folks to be courageous. These are illegal criminals right now that are playing catch and release and getting out on our streets and making it unsafe for the rest of us. Please do the right thing. Thank you.
After Beverly will be Didi Dominguez.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for entertaining this. My name is Beverly Welch. I'm a United States citizen first, a citizen of California second. I do not have a problem with immigration. It is a process by which an individual follows laws and meets requirements to move to another country. I have a problem with illegal aliens, as they have done neither of these things. I personally am the victim of a repeat offending illegal alien. While driving my 4th grade daughter to school at 7:50 a.m. in a stolen vehicle, drunk, a man ran a stop sign, bypassed 3 cars, pushed my vehicle 15 feet, narrowly missing the children that were walking in the crosswalk to school in the morning. My husband, children, and brother assure me they will never forget the sight of me lying on the ground. I can assure you personally, I will never forget the sound of my daughter's forehead hitting the windshield. 3 citizens, this gentleman lived in the city next to mine. This gentleman was chased by 3 citizens through 3 different cities before he was captured and arrested. He was given 90 days and released, presumably to drunk drive again. It was a full 6 months before I recovered enough to work. The financial devastation took years to recover from. Many are quoting fear of victims coming forward. I would concede, were they not here illegally committing crimes, things would not happen. The immigration laws of other countries are stringent. The penalties for illegal entry is
You have
harsh.
30 seconds.
Just as the 10 Commandments are not suggestions, the federal laws are the supreme laws of our land. You have sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States from enemies, foreign and domestic. We expect you to protect us from the threats in Sacramento and ask that you do your damn jobs. God bless America.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
After Dominguez will be Ben Garcia.
Hello, my name is Didi Dominguez, and I'm going to get right to the meat of things. Sanctuary policies shield illegal alien criminals from arrest and removal by ICE when they are released from local jails and state prisons. As a result, illegal alien criminals return to the same communities where they commit new crimes, and many seek sanctuary jurisdictions because they know living in one specifically reduces their chance that they will be deported if arrested again. On the other hand, cooperating with ICE to identify and remove illegal aliens results in protecting Americans from further victimizations. As many as 7,500 Americans are killed annually by illegal aliens. That's approximately 20 people per day. 20 Americans per day. So for those who think they don't break the laws, they absolutely do. They also commit crimes such as sex trafficking, domestic violence, assault, theft, robbery, DUI, and homicide. These are bad people we're talking about. And yet some people here actually want to protect them. Isn't that something? In order to protect our residents, we need to provide our law enforcement with the tools they need to keep us safe. SB 54.
You have 30 seconds.
SB 54 takes protection away from the law-abiding residents and gives it to the criminals. It also takes local control away from the city of Victorville and local law enforcement. That is why you must oppose this bill. SB 54 serves only one community, the illegal alien perpetrators of crime. Those who advocate for sanctuary cities and states are betraying the American people.
Time is up.
Thank you.
After Ben Garcia, Eric Toledo, something like that.
Good evening, Mayor, esteemed City Council members. My name is Ben Garcia. I've been a native-born resident here of California all my life, as is my mother and father. I'm talking to you as a result of your duty to uphold the oath of office. I, too, have taken the oath of office to uphold the laws of the land and this Constitution. I put my life on the line when I signed up to be an LA deputy sheriff and worked in numerous cities throughout this state. And sometimes I came home cut, broken, shirts torn, glad to be alive, and sometimes those battles on the street literally were with illegal aliens, people that had no right to be here, but yet after we put them in jail and it was time for them to be released, we notified the federal authorities that they were going to be released, and then they came and picked them up. I understand that that is not always the case today, but there are many sheriffs throughout our state that are in support of this bill to uphold our Constitution as a republic here in the California. And Blanca Gomez, I adore you for not even taking the courtesy to look at people that are speaking to you. And Mayor Garcia, I understand that she censured you for some of your actions, and rightfully so. You don't even have the courtesy to look at somebody that's addressing you. Shame on you, okay? Shame on you. You're breaking the Brown Act by not even paying attention to us. God bless you all, and I hope you do the right thing and stand by our Constitution. I didn't put my life on the line, and you are trusted servants, trusted elected officials. God bless you. Thank you. God bless America.
Eric, the last name is, it looks like T-O-E-T-O, and then after him, Alexandra Diaz.
Good afternoon, Council. So using police to carry out mass deportations fuels racial profiling and wrongful arrests, and further undermines trust between communities and law enforcement. Now more than ever, California must stand up to racist policies and protect our values of inclusion and equality. Victorville is home to a vibrant business community and major shopping center. If the City Council takes action in support of the administration's deportation agenda at this time, that will create fear and anxiety among its residents and those who work, shop, and visit the city. Many immigrants may take their businesses elsewhere, as the city will be associated with anti-immigrant agenda. We ask that the Victorville City Council reject any motions that are fueled by hate and division. Instead, city leaders should reaffirm that the city will protect all of its residents, regardless of status. If we stand up for our values of equality and inclusion, we will move Victorville forward. And also, I'd like to add that that a lot of it's important to note that a lot of I guess the right, a lot of their statements are kind of not.
You have 30 seconds.
They are not founded on fact. I guess it is meant to create fear. So I just want to point that out, that it's easy to scapegoat the immigrant community, but what about white nationalists, for example? So, and like it, racist. Okay, thank you so much.
After Alejandra, it's Megan Jolin.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me my 2 minutes to speak. I'm Alejandra Diaz. I'm an American citizen, and I'm a resident of the high desert. Let me tell you 1 minute about me. I came here illegally. I was 23 years old, and I remained illegal for 10 years. 10 years that I paid taxes. Guess what? I am a seamstress designer, and I make money. I raise my kids. For all those years that I remained illegal, I paid taxes and sent the money to the IRS. Do you believe that the IRS did not return the money and tell me, guess what? We cannot accept your money because you're illegal? They took my money. They took my work. I'm very proud. I obeyed the law. I became an American citizen at a later time. And we must stop this law that is racist, that it promotes racism. Let's talk, why don't we talk, if we want to be so painful and hurtful, why don't we talk about the sex offenders and what races are they? Why don't we talk about the massacres and all the year of 2018 and who have done those massacres to American citizens?
You have 30 seconds.
Why do you want to obey the law but disobey when it's convenient? Why did you promote hate and not love? Why do you eat the fruit and vegetables that are picked and raised by undocumented people? Why do you eat? Why do you take your babysitters that are undocumented, your gardeners?
Your time is up.
Why do you take them? Because you like to disobey the law when it's convenient.
Are you Megan? Yes. And after Megan will be Kennedy Wilson.
I'd like to invite you to go to illegalaliencrimereport.com to see all the crimes they commit. I'm Megan Dowling, engineer and medical professional from the belly of the beast, Los Angeles, where on Alvarado Street, illegal aliens readily get fraudulent passports, social security cards, and birth certificates, and they have a free text alert program, Pase la Voz, an obstruction of justice tool, there's a crime right there, that reports location of ICE checkpoints and raids to illegal aliens, and there's a Soros-funded app called Notifica that helps illegal aliens avoid arrest and deportation. The primary function of the government is to protect its citizens. 3 DUIs are still a misdemeanor and therefore are not reportable to ICE under SB 54. I'm against SB 54 and the nullification of our federal immigration laws that are meant to vet who comes into this country and to protect its citizens and legal immigrant residents. I've spoken to border control agents who have encountered at the border terrorists, drug cartels with massive quantities of fentanyl, human traffickers, and smugglers. I've been a victim of illegal alien crime, from having a gun brandished at me to having my door crowbarred open, to defecation in my yard, to stalking and identity theft, half of which were reduced to misdemeanors or infractions. Ron Martinelli, an expert forensic criminologist, compiled data from FBI, DHS, DOJ, and other law enforcement agencies, conclusively found that sanctuary cities have higher crime rates in general than non-sanctuary cities. When Phoenix ditched their sanctuary status, crime dropped precipitously. When South Florida took in 130,000 criminal aliens from Mariel, Cuba, in 3 months, crime skyrocketed. Moreover, the excuse that crime will be higher in sanctuary cities because illegal alien victims won't come forward is invalid, since there exists
You have 30 seconds.
of victim visas, UNT, for the express purpose of protecting such victims and witnesses. Between all these things, like SB 54, the Trust Act, Governor Brown signing a bill that reduces sentencing from 365 to 364 days to deliberately to avoid deportation, newly enacted jail prison times that reduce the sentencing to misdemeanors and are not reportable to ICE, Governor Brown's effectively preventing the federal government from removing violent and recidivist illegal alien criminals from our midst through the deportation process. Therefore, I respectfully request you uphold your oath of office and oppose Senate Bill 54. Okay, next is Kennedy Wilson, and after Kennedy will be Robert Lewton.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kennedy Wilson. I was born here in Victorville, and I am in the 11th grade. I just like to say I'm glad someone brought up black people and control, because for black people and Latinos here, we are the Negro of this country. this system is meant to control us, because people mention crime, but the thing is, instead of incriminating people for being undocumented, we should be trying to create programs to help them. We incriminate them because maybe they don't have anything. They come here without anything. We should be trying to help them instead of trying to throw them back to their country. Also, I'd like to address, this is similar to the school to prison pipeline, because we are creating the systems that at the same time incriminate these people. We should be trying to create youth programs for them, get them off the streets, out of crime, instead of trying to throw them back to their country. We want to address crime, but in the last 5 or 7 years, who has been the real criminals of this country? Because I know all these massacres have been by, excuse me, I gave you respect, I deserve it back. These shootings have been done by white male nationalists. Let's address the real problem, not immigrants. Thank you.
After Robert Luton will be Robert Harriman.
Okay, I'm Robert Lauten, Lauten. Okay, please join the 6 counties and 30 cities and pass an amicus brief or a resolution supporting the federal lawsuit or the city of Huntington Beach's lawsuit against California 3 sanctuary laws. There's a statement from Orange County Sheriff, SB 54. This legislation specifically prohibited local law enforcement's communication with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, on the release date of certain undocumented offenders. This provision of the law increases the likelihood of dangerous offenders being released back into the community. So that's the key question. Where shall ICE do its work? It's safer for all concerned if the ICE agent takes custody of the illegal alien that committed a serious crime when the illegal alien is still in custody. Problems arise when the ICE agent has to go into the community or the workplace to apprehend the illegal alien. And I'd like to give you
You have 30 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. So I have the Orange County Sheriff's statement right here, and I have a sample resolution from the city of Santa Clarita that I'd like to give your city clerk. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Harriman, and then after Robert, Fred McIntosh.
Evening, Council. First, I live here. I attend council meetings every first and third Tuesday. I'm engaged. I never seen any of these people. They don't live here. They don't participate here. They don't do any of it. So they're full of baloney. I'm glad you bring up taxes. I'm a concrete contractor. 90% of the applicants to work for my company don't have Social Security numbers, don't pay taxes, and demand cash if they do work. That's not paying taxes. Assimilation. Do they know what the word assimilation means? I don't think they do, okay? It's a very simple process. It's to come to America, learn our culture, and learn how to speak English. It doesn't mean you can't speak Spanish, but you should try to speak English. I don't think a lot of these people are trying to do that. Our schools are suffering. My son, while in elementary school, was forced to go to a different classroom because the teacher didn't have the time because she had so many immigrant students whose parents don't assimilate. So they don't speak English in their home, and their children come to school and then suffer. Secondly, he was not accepted to a university. Why? Probably because there's too many scholarships given. There's no such thing as an illegal citizen. If you're illegal, you're not a citizen. Mrs. Gomez seems to bust people in as she's had a sanctuary agenda since she's been here. I, again, as I do at all council meetings, ask her to resign and step down. The other gentleman says he fought for our country. Thank you, sir. But just because him and some people try to fight for our country doesn't mean everybody else gets in for a free ride. My time up? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. After Fred will be Dura Young.
Hello, my name is Fred McIntosh. SB 54 has nothing to do with mass deportation, only criminals in jail. You are the oversight commission that has control over any overreach from Sacramento that does not protect American citizens. I am against SB 54 because it is a safety issue. It was put into law without voter approval. Kevin De Leon tried to defend the bill once Brown passed it, saying it would use resources from local law enforcement to arrest otherwise law-abiding farm workers, hotel maids, busboys, mothers, and fathers. This is an untrue statement. It's also a scare tactic. It strikes psychological fear into law-abiding illegal immigrants. These people now have fear about reporting crime for fear of being deported, because of a false statement created by the author, Kevin De Leon. The sheriffs do not question witnesses on immigration status. The sheriff's department does not use resources on immigration anywhere in the city, only in jails where illegals have committed felonies or misdemeanors that can be tried as felonies. Sheriffs do not go around rounding up arresting farm workers, maids, busboys. This is just a false misconception a lot of people have that understand the issues of SB 54. Sanctuary cities protect a group of criminals and endanger public safety. Illegal immigrants, according to the U.S. Sentencing Commission, are 3.7 times more likely to be committed for drug offenses than U.S. citizens. Surveys don't normally work, so you need the U.S. Federal Sentencing Commission to properly collect data. Local doesn't work because they're not allowed to ask immigration status.
I have 30 seconds.
30 seconds. I'd like to see an amicus brief be created so as to make Victorville a safer place for a wide diversity of law-abiding people who reside in this city. Thank you.
After Dura will be Diego Romero.
Hi, City Council. My name is Dura Young. All these people here that are worried about their immigration status, it's not even about immigration. It's a safety issue, not an immigration issue. Starting off, thank you. The federal government has the responsibility of protecting our nation and supporting our Constitution. We have to be consistent across our nation in support of the Constitution and its federal laws. Kevin De Leon created a sanctuary state law to prevent immigration enforcement inside of jails for misdemeanor crimes. The California State Sheriff Association remains opposed to the bill because it only addresses 80% of the crimes. All right? The other 20% is what we're talking about. This is a loophole factor in SB 54. The crimes that are not covered under SB 54 are human trafficking, smuggling, narcotic trafficking by drug cartels, domestic violence, and repeat drunk driving. I don't think you'd want any of those people next door to you where you're living. All we are asking is that you follow the local law enforcement, communicate with ICE for these types of offenses. That's all we're asking. It's a safety issue, not an immigration issue. California must stop obstructing federal law. The Democrats in power are destroying our constitutional rights as citizens. Every citizen has a right to be protected by federal law. By putting together an amicus brief, your city council will be sending a clear message that you want federal law to supersede California law. Let's get rid of this unconstitutional law that are put into place without voter approval. 30 seconds. Okay, and we are not responsible for failed nations. If Mexico is failing as a nation, we are not responsible. We are the United States of America, okay? And when you jump over that fence and you land on American soil over the fence, you are a fugitive, All right? Americans respect the rule of law. Illegal aliens do not respect the rule of law. Let's take care of our veterans, our homeless, our foster kids. There's over 60,000 people that have been killed by the hands of illegal aliens since 9/11. 60,000 people. That's a lot of people.
After Diego will be Sabrina Cisneros.
Hello, my name is Diego Romero Rivera. Oh, crazy, really? Anyways, my parents were immigrants. They became citizens now. I've always lived here. I know how hard it is to live over there. I go during summer. It's horrible. People come over here for opportunity. They want a new life. They want to start anew. They can't even eat something. They can't eat anything over there. They come over here. They help you. They do your dirty work. Every Saturday I wake up at 4 a.m. I go to like so many houses and clean them. And after school, I go to my tío's restaurant. I just help him with anything I can because he has like 8 kids. He has to feed all of them. It's horrible. Some nights are horrible. There's some people that don't even get to eat once a week. It's horrible. We don't need to go against them. We need to help them. If you don't want, all of us aren't bad. I'm not saying that there isn't, but there is people that are bad. There's also good people, like my mother. She hasn't broke a single law. She's been helping America with everything she can. And we don't do anything wrong. There is people that do stuff that's wrong and that should be punished, but it doesn't mean that all of us are wrong. Why would that one person stand for us?
You have 30 seconds.
I believe this law should stand and it should stay. Because not all of us are bad. The ones that are not only Mexicans are the ones that are terrible. There's bad people that are terrible too. We're not the only race. Thank you.
After Sabrina will be Miguel Morales.
Hello, City Council. My name is Sabrina Cisneros. Thank you for being here and giving me the time. I would just like to say that I'm an American citizen. I've been here all 16 years, and I've loved every bit of it. And I'm coming to you from the youth. We voted you here to protect us. Not only the white people, not only the white people, but Mexicans, blacks, everybody. And I want everyone in this room to look at these faces and look at these names and see how they vote tonight. Because how you vote is how they're going to vote next. We can vote you in, we can vote you out as easily. Thank you.
Good evening. Buenas noches a todos. Sí, me gusta que hablen. Good evening, everybody. Consul. Everybody work very nice. I want to say, I go pray for everybody this week. But I need to know how many people put the money right here in Victorville in Spanish business. How many people? How many people go
Sir,
to...
you have to address the council, not the people.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
How many people go to school, take a good grade right here? This is people work for future right here for support economy. Economy American is very bad. Need a support working hard. I know because I go to fire departments. Miguel, can you come and put more business? Can you bring the check? Every year, 3,000. 3,000 for another fire department, 6,000. Who's the support for the business? Who support the systems? Need a fix for this problem. Thank you so much.
That was the last card that I had. Discussion from council members.
Do the right thing.
Ms. Gomez.
Federal law.
So on May 1st, 2018, Tuesday, Councilmember Negrete motioned to agendize opposition to Senate Bill 54, also as known as the California Values Act, which was seconded by Councilmember Kennedy. SB 54 is not an issue of public safety, nor does it forbid local law enforcement from contacting immigration. Sanctuary is not a scam. It's not against the American constitutionality. It is not outlandish or un-American. It does not open up any borders. It does not endanger the lives of law enforcement. It is not radical. It does not promote illegal immigration from flooding our country completely unchecked. It does not invite brown Nazis, foreign nationals, or union thugs to intimidate American citizens. The California Values Act does not protect illegal alien criminals who are released into our local communities. It does not prevent the detention centers from notifying immigration and custom enforcement. Let me clarify a couple of things about the term sanctuary because it's highly misunderstood to a high degree. For those of you on the right, there's an understanding that it's a misnomer, a highly charged, highly volatile, politically charged word. Notwithstanding on the left, it can also be a very misunderstood term. Whether you call yourself a sanctuary state or a sanctuary country, or a sanctuary county or a sanctuary city, mayors and council members and local governments perceive themselves as being a type of protected shield, so to speak. And some of them probably getting behind the shield or under the shield that there's an automatic protection, which is so untrue. It is a myth. Now, that's not the case with federal immigration law. Immigration is under the exclusive jurisdiction of the federal government, and it's germane to that branch of government, and that is the Border Patrol, Homeland Security, ICE, and Customs. What the California Values Act is saying is contrary to all the negative misinformation propaganda, is that local police shall protect and serve the citizens, the residents of their local municipalities. So as an example, I don't want my local police in Victorville all of a sudden abandoning their posts and duties because ICE wants them to set up a perimeter around an elementary school while they, the police, wait for parents to pick up their children because they leave the rest of us open and vulnerable. We are all paying our taxes, so it is essentially that we are being double taxed. The federal government will do their job because that's their job. There's nothing that a governor, a president of a senate, or a mayor of a city can do to hinder their job. That's their jurisdiction. We represent Victorville stakeholders, community groups, nonprofit, and so many other entities within its jurisdiction that this issue is relevant to the city only because it's deeply affecting the economic pockets of many of those individuals that we, council, represent. We are for a thriving economy that provides and enhances the safety and well-being of our respective communities, which includes protecting the financial sustainability of our city and its residents.
Okay. Who's next?
George Washington. Sorry. I'm talking about 1794. George Washington was president. The country was 5 years old. He had to deal with a Whiskey Rebellion. That was probably, as far as I know, the first time there was a dispute between the federal government and a state government, Pennsylvania, over whose law would be supreme. What we're dealing with today is only the latest version of that dispute, and there are going to be many more to come. Virtually every one of those was resolved in the court system. And the Supreme Court is probably going to be the ultimate body to decide whether the state law or the federal law prevails. I can tell you this, the city of Victorville has nothing to say about that issue. We have no jurisdiction. We have no control over immigration policy. We have no decision to make on this issue. I'm impressed with your passion and what everybody feels on both sides, but it's law enforcement is delivered in this city by the sheriff. I am absolutely confident, because I know John McMahon, I am confident that he and his leadership in his department will do exactly the best thing for law enforcement in this community. That's the end of the story for me.
He wants to go next. He wants to go next.
Can we move on the agenda?
Mr. Negretti, I defer to, Mr. Negretti asked this to be discussed. I defer to him.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate everyone coming out. This is something that, as a city, we have witnessed constantly, and that's unfortunately the state of California and their ridiculous policies negatively impacting counties and cities. That's why we're here today. So I appreciate all the passion, but let's just keep it simple and deal with this. If you read SB 54's language, I'll read it for you right here. It talks about how the legislature finds and declares the following: immigrants are valuable and essential members of the California community, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes on what to do with law enforcement contacts. And again, when it comes to county and city, I don't need the state of California worrying about what we're doing. We've got our job to do. They should do theirs. So let's talk about what their jobs are. Schools, they fail constantly. Roads, they fail constantly. Poverty, fail constantly. Welfare, fail constantly. Crime, homelessness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And who has to pay the burden for those dumb policies? It's counties and cities and American citizens. All right? You sit here time after time after time. They're right. A lot of this has nothing to do with the city. But when the state is telling us what to do, or the county who we contract with, I take exception to that. You can only sit here so long and listen to this crap all the time. Let me tell you something about these policies. First of all, in no uncertain terms, I condemn most of the things that come out of the state legislature. I'm here for the city of Victorville and the residents and public safety for American citizens first. That's what I took an oath for. That's why I'm here. But what these policies are, especially SB 54, quite frankly, are traitors, they're anti-American, and they're anti-Californian. We are not a sanctuary city. Again, this is not something that people have to worry about. Just because we didn't say anything before and other cities started to object to these policies, it's tragic. We have to bear the negative impacts of these policies. So let's talk about the schools. Why do they want unchecked illegal immigration? They fill up the schools, the emergency rooms with other people that shouldn't be here, quite frankly, and as taxpayers, we can't afford. They fill up the schools because more students means more teachers, which means more schools. And who's benefiting from all this? The teachers union. And who keeps these people in power in Sacramento? The teachers union. And whose pensions are out of control and damaging this state. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's just going round and round. So this is tiring, and if they want to make symbolic gestures and whatnot against the administration, fine, whatever. But you know what? When you start dealing with county and city issues, this is really where the things really happen. We don't have the luxury of living in LA and Sacramento and San Francisco with all their ridiculous problems. This is not that. We don't have the budget to deal with these problems. California is becoming a third world country. I used to live in Los Angeles, and I thought that Los Angeles was the center of the universe. And now they can have it. Okay? But now those policies and those people are impacting where I do live, where our families do live, with their stupid ideologies. So let me give you an example of what's happening in school. I never thought this would happen. I didn't even think that it was that bad. I had to check with a high school student. How in the world does somebody go to a high school English class with students who don't speak English? No. And when they talk about their assignments, they have a translator. That right there, this whole hypocrisy is so exhausting to sit here as someone who was elected to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And that right there is
you
why
have 30
we're here.
seconds.
It's what they're doing is being challenged, as it should be. And I would just say that we have responsibilities to our citizens, and that's all I have to say.
Have her removed. Her. Yeah.
Can we go to D3 or D2?
He wants to take we will take another recess. I'm sorry, but it's uncontrollable. 5-minute recess. We are starting up again. Please be quiet. Take your seats. We are starting up again. Will you please be quiet and take your seats?
Madam Mayor, I chose not to say anything because there's no decision to be made. We had this on the agenda for a discussion. We've had the discussion. There is no action that the council can take. They could, but we are required to follow state law. We're required to follow the federal law. They are in court. That's where it will be settled, as Mr. Kennedy has pointed out. And I'm sorry there was a misunderstanding. The whole purpose of the break was so that all the individuals here for this one item then could leave, because we are going to move on then to the next item, and we have a long agenda, and we will not be coming back to discuss this. There may be reasons that the council will discuss it in the future. If they do, it'll be agendized, and you will all be notified, but that ends that discussion. There's no action. It's a discussion, and that's the way it was agendized. And that discussion is over. We thank you for your patience. We thank you for your input. We now need to move on to the other items. And if you want to stay, we'd love to have you. But if you'd like to leave because this item is over, we understand. Thank you. Don't need a motion. Can't take a motion. It's for discussion. It's
Mayor
discussion
wants
only.
to say something. Our manager wants to say something here.
No, I was just going to bring clarity to that item. This item was brought forward without a recommendation towards specific action. It was actually an invitation not only amongst themselves but to the public to have a conversation. That conversation obviously is a very polarizing conversation that's largely resulted from SB 54 having gone through a deliberative process in the state of California, having been adopted, and is state law. The U.S. Department of Justice has actually filed a lawsuit challenging that law to determine supremacy. That's the right venue from staff's perspective as to how to resolve these conflicts, and certainly we'll continue to monitor as staff, and we'll report back to the council any progress in that regard. But what I do know, having met with the local sheriff, our local sheriff is doing everything he possibly can to make and keep our community safe within the framework of SB 54.
Thank you. So that concludes item D1, and we will continue with the rest of our agenda. We will be starting with public hearings. And item B1.
Make a decision. Do the right thing.
Unbelievable.
Thank you, Eric. You're a rock star.
Yeah, thank you. The only one. Americans first. Americans first.
Blanca.
Not
you're
illegal
disgrace.
aliens.
Blanca Gomez. Disgraceful.
And you're protecting illegal aliens.
Item B1, a public hearing to hear arguments for and against determination to fix, levy, and collect standby charges for Water Improvement District Number 1 and Water Improvement District Number 2. Madam Clerk, please read the recommendation.
That the Victorville Water District Board of Directors approve resolution numbers VWD 18-005 and 18-006.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff by council members?
Yes, I have a question. So, would staff please explain the Balding Mesa versus the Victor Valley Water District? I just understood that that's WID 1 and WID 2, and this morning I had a question and answer concerning some of these issues, and I realized that other individuals had called in later on saying that they didn't understand that, so it would be advantageous to give me a briefing here in public.
Madam Mayor and members of the council, there was a time up until 10 years ago to where the water districts here locally were operated independently by special district. And in the case of Victorville, the jurisdiction of water was that of the Baldy Mesa Water District along with the Victor Valley Water District. There was effectively a merger of the two districts and effectively a takeover and the control of those two districts by the city of Victorville. So as we have, as a city body, led the governance of those two districts, we refer to them as WID 1 and WID 2, but the history as to Baldy Mesa and Victor Valley were as to how they operated prior to becoming under the direction of the city of Victorville.
And then one other question. This is the potable water section, or was it the wastewater section?
This is your drinking water. This is your potable water system.
Okay, so just like I'm a little confused myself. Just like many of the residents today, you know, we open the water faucet and it's water that comes out. We don't really distinguish. So thank you for clarifying that. I know I had an email not too long ago and I forwarded it to staff. Hopefully you guys are addressing some of these issues. I don't know if you have taken the time. I think his name was, I'm not even going to try. He was concerned that he got on May 11th, supposedly a letter from the city, but it was time-stamped or date stamped on the 14th, and he realized that today we were going to have discussions on these issues. And so I didn't know how to address. I know someone in today's meeting had mentioned that there's notifications up in the front, in the libraries and all this, and I don't think he's aware of this, so maybe if staff can respond to this man's email that I forwarded today, that would kind of help him to understand what's happening. He's afraid that all of his trees are going to die. So.
And so certainly we will, if we haven't already, reach out to the person that you're talking about. And as to trees dying, this item has more to do with the establishment of standby fees for the water system, and it involves properties that are undeveloped within a certain distance of effectively a main line. I believe it's 660 feet. So for undeveloped properties that enjoy the benefit of being so proximate or so close to a mainline system, state code allows for the adoption of these standby fees, and we do have to do them annually, and we do them differently as to the old jurisdictions, the Baldy Mesa and the Victor Valley. So in the Victor Valley, or WID 1 as we call it, that's where we have a maximum ability to go up to $10, and we charge the maximum amount. A little bit different for Baldy Mesa in the case that because they issued bonds to help finance a lot of their infrastructure system, in that particular case, we're allowed to go maximum 15, and we charge the maximum?
We do, and it's for all parcels in WID 2.
So effectively, what's being asked of this council tonight in the public hearing forum is to go ahead and set and levy those rates, the same rates that we've had in existence for how long?
1969 for WID 2, we've been charging that amount.
It might help just to state this is vacant land. It has no effect on houses that exist.
It's not the vacant land in WID 2. WID 2 is all parcels. So it's to pay for the bond debt for about $13 million of infrastructure.
The $10 availability is for houses?
In WID 1, the $10 is for vacant parcels within 660 feet of a water line. In WID 2, it's all parcels. It's $15 per acre, or anything less than an acre is $15.
That's Baldy Mesa.
Yes, and we did reply to the citizen you're referring to.
And then another question, was there a sunset date on that? Were we going to look at that, or how long? I understand it was at $23 million?
It was $13 million, and the bonds will be paid off in 2036.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions? I'm still asking questions from council members. Anyone? No? Okay, there's no other questions. Therefore, I open the public hearing. And I do have one speaker card. Teresa Roberg.
I didn't know that I was going to have to pay water for Baldy Mesa and the Victorville Water Company also. And I just got this in the mail today, and the meeting was today. So it was like, really? And I've been paying this increase, and this is on my taxes. And I'm really concerned about the water that's in my development community, because the street underneath the ground, the water pipes are breaking, and the water department is coming and they're digging it up and then they're patching it. And that was a year ago they did that to my house. And then they said, oh, we'll come back and fix it right away. But it's been over a year and it's still not been fixed. All the streets are like patched in my area. And they have semis parking on the street. I don't know if that's what's breaking the streets and the water pipelines. And then I'm going to pay now more, and I'm going to keep paying more every year on my taxes to this company, Baldy Mesa, is my understanding. And then I'm also paying the Victorville Water Company. Now, I'm really confused about it because my house is not a vacant lot. So did I sign something saying that I'm going to be doing this?
Ma'am, are you connected to city water?
What?
Do you have city water connected to your property?
I have Victorville City Water District that I pay to, yes.
Then you would not be subject to the standby fee. It's only for those
Well,
folks
then
that
I
are
should be
not
exempt from
connected.
this, right?
Yeah, you are exempt from that if that's the terminology.
That's not what he's saying.
So
I'm an example. I own my home on the lot.
Yes.
I own the lot next door.
Well, I don't have a vacant lot. Okay.
I pay the water bill on my home because that is getting service. I get no water service on my lot. I pay the $10 standby fee every year, and we've been paying it for over 40 years.
But you have a vacant lot.
Yes.
I
if
don't.
If you don't have a vacant lot, you won't
Then
pay
I
this.
should. No, he just said I have to pay
Which
it.
part?
I don't know. You guys need to decide.
There
Baldy Mesa. Oh.
Yeah.
there is a difference. So
Did I sign a real estate contract that I'm going to pay two different companies?
where do you live?
In Victorville.
What's your address?
It's right here, 12763 Cardinal Road, Victorville.
We can answer this if we can figure out exactly what district you're in.
Yeah, it's Baldy
Yeah.
Mesa.
Well, so am I, so
He's
is
in
there a
Baldy
Baldy Mesa water company?
So if you're in the Baldy Mesa Water District, you are paying the fee, the standby fee for the infrastructure that was put into that district, but you're not paying the standby fee that's charged to residents in the former Victor Valley Water District. You're just paying the fees that were established.
I don't know. I just know the water company is very expensive up here. I just moved up here like 5 years ago from Highland, and I pay double the water bill than here. So I don't understand why the water bill is so high and the streets are so messed up. And the water, well, I was in there about a year, and all of a sudden water was squirting out of the street. And they said they weren't going to fix it because it was on a weekend till Monday. Now, you say there's a water shortage, but you guys don't care about the water that's squirting out of the street? So I called the newspaper, and all of a sudden they came the next day. Come on, I don't understand it. And I don't understand why I got City of Victorville water, and I have to pay the Baldy Mesa. Is there not a Baldy Mesa water company? Why am I paying taxes? Each year I'm getting raised $15 more on my taxes, right?
You have 30 seconds.
Can someone address this?
I think the best thing, Doug Matthews is...
Why shouldn't Baldy Mesa be my city then? Or I don't understand.
Baldy Mesa Water District was actually merged with the city, and the city took over the operation and maintenance of the entire Baldy Mesa Water District along with the Victor Valley Water District. But I think it might be helpful. Doug Matthews is our Director of Water Utilities. He can answer all of your questions that are either directly related or not even directly related to this item as they relate to water.
That was the only card that I had. Therefore, I closed the public hearing. And is there any other discussion from council members? No?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Negretti. Is there any further comments?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Now we move on to item B2, a public hearing to hear arguments for and against the adoption of General Plan Amendment Case Number DEV 16-00006. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council adopt Resolution Number 18-023, amending the circulation element of the Victorville General Plan and approving an environmental negative declaration for the project.
Thank you. Council members, any questions of staff? Anyone?
I do. I'm just reading what my question is going to be. So how does the adoption of this resolution affect the new development versus the retrofitted streets? And the next question pertains to the California Complete Streets Act. Maybe a brief thing of what this is for the general public.
Yes, so your first question, if the council adopts this resolution tonight, the circulation element will be changed to categorize existing streets that are developed as retrofit cross-sections. They would essentially allow for bike lanes within the existing built right-of-way. It would also allow for new designs for undeveloped areas of the city. So the cross sections that are presented before you tonight are the same that were presented in the joint workshops in February and March with the Planning Commission and City Council. And then as far as the Complete Streets Act, yes, the state approved a Complete Streets Act probably roughly 10 years ago. And then after 2011, it required cities that made modifications to their circulation element to make them in full conformance with the Mobility Act that we're talking about.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thanks.
Anyone else? I open the public hearing. And I do have one speaker card. Gordon Nichols. Gordon Nichols.
Madam Mayor, if I might, just in case there are people still in conference room D, if you can hear me, perhaps it's appropriate to invite them over to join us if they're still in that conference room. There's plenty of space here.
And this is also Baldy Mesa. Oh, it says BIA Baldy View. Oh, no, I guess. Oh, he's with the BIA. Oh, yeah, that's Gordon Nichols. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I did have an email communication with them before the meeting, and they plan to come and lend their support for the item. There is written communication at the Planning Commission level that they support the project still, but he may have left.
They may have left?
Yeah, he may have left.
Okay. Over there, okay. That was the only card that I had. So I close the public hearing. And any other discussion by council members? If none?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Negretti, seconded by Ms. Gomez. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item B3 will be continued to our June 5th, 2018 regular meeting. Is that correct?
That's the request of staff. My question to staff is, do you want us to open the public hearing so we don't have to renotice it and continue it?
Yes.
So it would be appropriate to open the item, see if there's any comments tonight, and then just continue the public hearing to the next meeting, Brian?
Yes.
To the next meeting. That way we don't have to renotice it. So I'd request and go through the same process, ask if council members have any questions on the item, and then open the public hearing.
Okay. Any council members have any questions on this item?
Yes. My first question is, why is it being moved?
We received new information today that may affect the recommendation for the award of contract. So that's why we're requesting a continuance.
Okay, and my second question is, would you expand on how the partnership of the two school districts and Adelanto play into the negotiations with the city of Victorville with the ATRA agency, and how long this contract is for?
We applied for a active transportation program grant, and we cooperated with both the Victor Elementary School District and also the Adelanto Elementary School District. And so they had input into which school sites would be appropriate for improvements. And so we worked with them on what we thought would be viable school sites and improvements that would improve the safety for Safe Route to School. So it was a cooperative effort. The city's the lead agency, but we had input from the school districts.
With that, I have a following question. What are the requirements to choosing these schools, and would you be providing counsel in the next, whenever this is moved to the next item or whatever we just decided, would you be able to provide those requirements? Because I'm sure that you don't want to exclude certain schools, and I mean, I'd like to look at the requirements at least to know, to have a feel.
This is geared towards elementary schools, and primarily the school sites are the Victor Elementary School District, and there are some schools in the Adelanto School District. There's one in the Hesperia School District in the Golden Triangle, but we used our judgment on what we thought were viable projects to include in the grant application, and much of it had to do with how we thought it would score, because the grant is scored on different criteria, and it's a competitive grant, so we selected sites with input from the school districts that we thought would be the most viable ones for scoring high on the grant and getting grant funds for improvements.
What qualifies that viability, though? I mean, if you can just provide something that so council can see, that's all I'm really trying to look.
We could certainly provide that. It's quite detailed as far as the criteria that went into the grant application.
Any other questions? I do open the public hearing at this time, and I do have one card. Craig Garcia. Gone. Evidently he's gone. So I close the public hearing.
We do not want to close the public hearing. We want to continue it to the next meeting.
You're right. You're correct. We will continue this item B3 to June 5th, 2018. So now we move on to item B4, a public hearing to hear arguments for and against the approval of a notice of exemption, appropriate additional funds, and award a construction contract for the state Route 395 and La Mesa Road traffic signal and road improvement project. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council approve the notice of exemption, adopt resolution number 18-027 to amend the budget, appropriate an additional $154,000 from Fund 200, street lighting and an additional $839,441 from Fund 250, Measure I, award a contract to Sully Miller Contracting Company in the amount of $1,855,761 for the State Route 395 and La Mesa Road traffic signal and road improvement project, and authorize staff to purchase traffic signal electrical equipment and poles for this project within the budgeted amount of $97,000.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions of staff?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Since this is at 395, what's the state participation? State highways, so did they engineer it? Did you engineer it? Are they paying for what's the division between the state and the city?
The only participation the state has is in the inspection part of it. The city funded the design, and then we had to get a permit from the state to install the improvements. So really their only participation is providing inspection services.
Anyone else have any questions?
Yes, is this a capital improvement program? I was looking for that number. I didn't see it, so I thought I'd ask.
It is. It is in the capital improvement program.
All right, thank you.
Brian, this is not near the 395 widening project, is it?
It's south of it, some miles. The widening project is going to start at Palmdale Road and go north, but this is a few miles to the south, a couple miles.
Anyone else? No? I open the public hearing. I do not have any speaker cards, so I close the public hearing. Is there any other discussion by council members?
Yes, I just have a comment. For future, these types of documents, I'd like to see the ending totals for the ease of comparing it to the cost of the fiscal impact. I had this conversation on Monday with staff as well, so I just wanted to make it also for the record.
I'll move approval of item B.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Negretti. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Now we have consent calendar. Consent calendar items C1 through C5 can be approved with one motion unless there is an item that needs to be pulled for discussion.
I have a question on C1. So I'll ask that question. Would staff inform council more about the charity and the California Municipal Finance Authority in regards to that charity?
Yes, good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members. Regarding the charity that is selected by CMFA, I believe you're referring to, they are willing to take recommendations from the City Council. I can share that with them. Those will be dispersed twice per year. They are small amounts similar to what was remitted to the city, and rather than send those quarterly, they do want to just limit it to twice a year. So if you have any input on that, I'd be willing to take that back to them.
Thank you. No further.
Move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cox, seconded by Mr. Kennedy. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Now we move on to written communications. And we already discussed D1. And so we move on to item D2. Presentation of skate park design options. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council provide direction to staff to proceed with the desired design option and authorize the associated appropriation of funds for the option selected.
Thank you. Are there any questions by council members?
Yes. What is the difference of the cost between the first design and the second design?
So in the staff report, I think it summarizes it on page 355.
So the cost of the smaller, approximately 8,900 square foot park would be $450,000 without the amenities such as the lighting, restroom, water fountain, and seating, things of those nature. For option 2, the larger park that is about 15,600 square feet, the price is $775,000.
Thank you. I missed that. The next question that I have is, I know whether we do these yearly or not, or it's just based on council requests. We had a recent community, I think they call it community survey of some sort, and we saw it not too long ago here. What is the process that council has when we go out, we tell the community what are your top choices? How did the community get their voice in with council support without going all over? For instance, I remember that the first thing that the community wanted was a splash type of park. Then we had something that probably followed as like a dog park and a community center, and then there was one other thing, and the fifth option was the skate park. I want to know what's the process that we take. We never discuss these in that order, and I just want to make sure that when the community, and we spend money and taxpayer money on the community, we have something like of that nature come out with first, second, third, fourth, fifth type of thing, and then council to really take consideration of that. What is that process that we use?
So the process that was used to move forward with the development of a skate park is it was brought to council, I want to say about a year and a half ago, if not longer, and it was discussed here at the council, and a majority of the council, I don't remember the exact vote, decided to move forward with giving staff the direction to move forward with meeting or seeking public input and seeking the direction of the Community Services Advisory Committee, and seeing what the community wanted as far as a skate park. So it was actually discussed here at council.
Yeah, so I was fairly new during that time, and had I known that there was like top tiers, the first 5 or the first 4, I could have probably vouched and brought some community members to bring the top 3, but I wasn't aware. Now that I'm aware and I have a little bit more knowledge, I appreciate that I can at least, we could vouch together. And I'm not saying anything bad about the skate park, but when we have top 3 for the community, I like at least something to be looked at and have discussion with the rest of the council. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to thank the city staff and all those involved with the skate park design options to date. This is a very complicated project, and there are many issues that a lot of folks definitely had to work on to get us to this point. The good news is that the funding that we're using for this project is from Recreation DIF. DIF is Development Impact Fees. And certainly when new development happens in our community, they recognize there's going to be an impact. So the fact that we have this funding available, and the good news is more funding than when we first started this conversation some time ago. But when I was elected in 2014, I did hear a lot from the youth in our community, and being that I went to high school and junior high school up here in the 80s, I know what it's like to be a student up here. And so this was a high priority. We did reach out to the community. We do have different options. The good thing is that you look at a swimming pool, which was highly rated, and a splash feature. Certainly we have more funding again than we thought when we started this, and I think we can certainly incorporate a lot of the top 5 issues. Some are easier, obviously, to do than others. But so the good news is there are 2 options, a smaller option and a larger option. The larger option is 15,600 square feet. And what we're after here in this community is a skate park that other folks in the high desert would want to come and drive to. That's called a destination skate park. And we certainly don't want just one, but this is where we're starting for right now. So I thank the staff and everyone involved to get us this far. So again, we do have other options. We have more funding in the Recreation DIF. If anybody on the staff would like to correct me if I'm wrong, but we certainly do plan to get to some of those other projects. But having said all that, the second option is a little bit more expensive than we had initially thought, but again, we have more funding than we thought. So with that, I'd like to ask the council support for the larger option 2 and authorize the associated appropriation of funds for the, again, larger option 2. And that would be by motion.
I'll second the motion. Do we have skate park people here?
Welcome.
Motion by Mr. Negretti, seconded by Mr. Kennedy. Any further comments?
Yes.
I did have some cards also.
Okay.
Yes, the other thing, the reason we opted out to not choosing the smaller portion was because right next door we have a home, and when we have anyone using the skateboard or using the bike, we know it would probably be a little bit of a nuisance to the neighbor. So our staff went ahead and looked further into the park, detailed where it would be at, and it ended up being much larger. So I'm glad that staff was able to take that step forward, and we're not really having to pick and choose small or large. We want both the residents and the skateboarders to be out in peace, doing that noise that they need to do within the park level and not have any disruption from the neighbor. So that was the option that we were going to select.
Okay, I do have 3 cards here for this item. William Firmich, and then after William, it's Julia Carrier. And the third one will be Brian Herman.
Hello, Mayor, City Council members. I really appreciate you guys moving forward on this, and I agree with you, option 2. Because I see Victorville as the heart of the high desert and the Victor Valley, and all the other communities have parks first before this city has any parks, skate parks. But option 2 would put you guys ahead of all the rest. And then we'll all come over here and spend our money at your Del Tacos and so forth. But this has been over 13 years in the making, and I wrote, oops, I mean, in the asking. So we've been coming to this city council, me and my sons, for over 13 years, and the council has changed people on there over and over, and they'd always say, well, we're going to do it, and then it would just get swept under the rug. And I applaud you guys for moving it forward and getting it done. My sons are now 31 and 27, and we all still ride as a family freestyle BMX, the bike tricks. And if you build a quality park, they will come. They will come. We go to Vegas, we go to Barstow because they have quality parks. So if you build a nice quality park, people will come here and spend money in the town and even move here just to use that park. And I'm glad to see other people are here tonight in support of this, because in the past there would be like 3 people. So that's why you guys would go next. But now you see that there is a few people here tonight that want to see this happen, and we've been wanting to see it happen for many years. And last Saturday we had our 7th anniversary in Apple Valley for our reopening. And that park, to me now, it seems like it's kind of mediocre because they expanded it and did some work to it. But when there's 50 kids in there, they're all crisscrossing each other, and it's just chaos. And I see the option 2 looks like it has a lot of nice layout to where kids could all do their runs without crossing each other's paths and all that. And I just applaud you guys. Thank you.
Hi, I'm actually speaking for Julia. She had to leave, so she sent me what she wrote, so sorry about that. But she said, first, I'd like to thank the council members for their time and their dedication to our community. I am here today to express my support for a skate park in Victorville, preferably number 2. Studies have shown that hobbies like skateboarding benefit kids in many ways. Hobbies give kids an opportunity to express themselves doing something they really enjoy, allowing them to discover inner passions and build self-esteem. Children who apply themselves to hobbies subsequently lead to learning to set and achieve goals, solve problems, and make decisions. Hobbies can also set the course for what a child becomes later in life, as they often turn into lifelong interests or even careers. On an economic level, skateboarding is a thriving industry that revenues $4.8 billion a year and only continues to grow. According to statistics, 11 million people self-report that they enjoy skateboarding on a regular basis. I believe that putting in a nice skate park will encourage economic growth and promote an active lifestyle for our community members of all ages, but most importantly, I think it is pivotal to supply and teach our youth options for happy and healthy habits. Thank you.
Brian Herman.
Brian Herman's not here, but I have a good idea of what he wanted to talk about. I mean, I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's actually a professional skateboarder that was raised up here. And my name's Donnie Damron, and I work with Pharmacy Board Shop. But anyways, what Brian wanted to talk about is him and I, we worked really closely with the city of Hesperia a few years back to get the little park that they built going, and we actually funded most of it for them. And same thing we've done with like the city of Victorville, Apple Valley, Hesperia, all the cities up here over the years, just lobbied and tried to get a skate park. And finally it got to the point where we worked with Lindsay Woods, who's head of Park and Rec of the city of Hesperia, and we put our money where our mouth was, and we're like, just designate us a small area at any park in the city of Hesperia and let us prove to you that it'll be like one of the most used spaces in all your parks. And so basically, after going back and forth for months with him, he finally came to the conclusion. He called me one time and said, okay, we want to talk. City Council's been talking about it, blah, blah, blah. We don't got much of a budget. And what can we do? We ended up, building a small park with not much going on a small budget, just to kind of show them that, what it will really bring to the city. And they've told me, not just them, but even the park rangers for the city of Hesperia has told me that it's their most used facility in all of Hesperia. And Hesperia Park and Rec, they got a lot of different things. And not only is it one of the most used things on a daily basis, they have like literally like the least amount of problems almost out of all their parks at the Lime Street Skate Park. And you know, since it's been open, there's been a couple minor incidents, and usually I'll get an email from Lindsay or from one of the park rangers, and they'll say, hey, this is what's going on, can you know, so then, you know, basically we'll just, you know, talk to kids at the park and say, hey, this is what's going on, somebody tagged on the thing, it needs to get cleaned up, and it's actually, it's worked out well. And I just want to let you guys know that, you know, because some people, you know, are opposed to it or think it creates problems, this and that, you know, it'll be a good thing.
You have 30 seconds.
Okay. And then my other thing is I highly recommend going with the second option, you know, so you guys don't do what the city of Apple Valley did. You know, they skimped out, built it, a few years later ended up rebuilding it, and they've got more money into their skate park than you guys will have into the big one, and it's still really small. So something to think about. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, just to be clear about this, so nobody's confused, we're not taking money from police or fire or street maintenance or any of those kind of things. This money comes from a special development impact fee fund. It's earmarked for recreation, so.
Thank you for that information. That was the only cards that I had. So is there any other discussion by council members? If none, can we have a motion?
Motion by Mr. Negretti, seconded by Mr. Kennedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Mayor, if I might, just as it relates to the item, now that the council's given staff direction on which option to proceed, we will actually initiate the bid process. And as far as the schedule, so that the public knows what's to expect, of course, the location of this is at the Doris Davies Park, Pebble Beach Park, as I still call it. But the expectation is, after the bid process is complete, that we would break ground just right after Labor Day. Which would be right after the closing of the pool for the swim season. And once construction is started, it's expected that just before Christmas, the project will be complete. So that's our current schedule.
Thank you. Now we move on to item D3. Request to authorize the expenditure of AB 2766 funds for transit services for fiscal year 2018-2019. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council authorize an expenditure of the remaining fund balance, approximately $634,980.25, contingent upon subsequent interest earnings of accumulated AB 2766 funds for transit services to Victor Valley Transit Authority for fiscal year 2018-2019.
Thank you. Any questions of staff by council members?
Yes. During several meetings in attendance at the MDA-QMD, I thought that I understood that we were using our funds for the purposes of transit, but this item states otherwise. We have accumulated over $500,000, and my question is, since when have we been accumulating this amount of money? I saw 1993, but I wasn't sure if that was related. And how does this relate to the safe routes to school, if it does?
So we've been accumulating these funds for quite a few years. We haven't spent a lot of them, but how it relates to the safe route to schools is that monies we put to the transit will give us more money back in LTF, which is an eligible expense for safe route to school. So essentially we're trading one for the other.
Is there a threat to lose these funds if they're not used? And how have these funds been collecting interest?
I don't know if I would call it a threat, but AQMD is certainly looking at it. They're requesting all their member agencies account for how they've been spent and to come up with a plan to spend these funds by May 17th of this year.
Will the city be able to restrict the funding to spend on the types of programs that are to reduce emissions, or are they for other reasons as well?
So they won't be to reduce emissions because those funds are going over to Victor Valley Transit and to support transit, which reduces emissions. So they will go to an emission reduction use. The funds we get back will be LTF funds, and those funds are very restrictive, or not as restrictive as the AB 2766, but they have their restrictions as well.
You know, I had a little bit of a confusion between how we can kind of shift money in hands and how you could do stuff like that. I'm not calling it misappropriation, but that's the term that comes to mind. How are you allowed to do something like that? Give them the use for VVTA usage, and then in turn get LTF funds? How
Sure.
do you do
Every
that?
year we get LTF funds, and the excess funds we don't use for transit come back to the city. So if we're putting additional money towards transit, we'll just get more LTF back. So it's just a way to offset that.
I'll probably have to sit with you and get more explanation, but that's good enough for now. Thank you.
Certainly.
If I might, I can attempt to try to clarify that. So it used to be Sandbag, now it's a CTC, effectively as the collector of the LTF funds in the aggregate, and that's a portion. It's derived from a portion of the sales tax. And CTA's fundamental responsibility first when administering LTF is to spend it on mass transit. So in the case of VVTA, they're going to look at VVTA as a system, and they're going to look at what is the funding need of that system first, and they'll fund that need first with LTF. And effectively, the excess funds or any funds that are remaining then go to the local jurisdictions for the local jurisdiction then to use in its capacity of managing the streets. So it's in the case where here we're using the AQMD money to be applied towards the VVTA system, that effectively creates a less need from the CTA administration of the LTF, and therefore creates surplus funds then that can be passed back through to the city and that we can use on our local streets.
Well, I don't know if she's done with her questions.
Yeah, I don't have any more questions.
Okay, anyone else have any questions?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Ms. Gomez. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D4, award of construction contract for High Desert Homeless Services Drainage Project. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council approve the award of construction contract to TSR Construction and Inspection in the amount of $90,000 for the Community Development Block Grant funded High Desert Homeless Services Drainage Project.
Thank you. Questions by council members?
Yes. Would the city be able to explain how the nonprofit was able to accumulate $90,000 and how they were able to distribute them through CDBG funding so that maybe other nonprofits who have similar issues can gauge that as a principle and it assists them with any kind of structure that they need to fix?
Yeah, so High Desert Homeless Services originally applied for CDBG funding back in 2015. And upon further review of this site, we realized that there was some drainage issues that was causing the damage to their wall. So the original 2015 allocation wasn't enough to remedy and fix the whole site. So they again reapplied in 2017, and we did have a remnant funds in 2016 of $6,000 to also apply for that. Other nonprofits have come back to the city for multiple years of funding before. For example, St. John of God had a sewer project that took them a couple of years of accumulating funds to finish that project. But it's not uncommon for the nonprofits to come back in a future fiscal year and request additional funding to complete the project. They have about 3 years, I believe, to actually complete the project.
For any kind of remnants in funds, is there a competitive process that the nonprofits that have something of this nature, like the High Desert, do they apply, or is the city automatically given? How does that process work?
Sophie may be able to elaborate a little bit more on that.
So in this particular case, there's an allocation from fiscal year 16-17 in the amount of $6,300 that was added to the other 2 years funding for this project. And that was the decision to utilize those funds to make up the gap for this project was made administratively. We receive over $1 million in CDBG funds, and so long as there is a reallocation that's under 10% of that amount, so about $100,000, then we have the administrative authority to reallocate those funds. The other projects that Scott didn't mention that have benefited similarly for multi-years worth of gathering of funds is the Victorville Senior Citizens Club. We've done a couple projects where in year one the funding actually just wasn't enough, and so we had to pool it for them, and they were able to apply for the following year and gather enough money over 2 to 3 fiscal years worth to get larger projects done. So to answer the question, yes, other nonprofits besides High Desert Homeless Services have benefited similarly.
Okay, so when you said 10% discretion, they're not discretionary funds, but administration has discretion for that 10%, which would be $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
No further questions.
Yes.
Anyone else? No? I do not have any speaker cards. So,
Move approval of D4.
second.
Motion by Mr. Negretti, seconded by Mayor Garcia. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D5, agreement with Southern California Edison and approval of payment of invoice for Water Improvement District Number 1 to Water Improvement District Number 2 Pumping Station Project. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the Victorville Water District Board of Directors authorize staff to execute an agreement with Southern California Edison and approve payment of the invoice in the amount of $41,431.57 for the Water Improvement District 1 and Water Improvement District 2 Pumping Station Project.
Thank you. Any questions by council members?
Yes. I have received various questions in regards to WID 1 and WID 2 concerning water hikes. Today I had the question and answer session. You know, this water thing is, I had some clarification, and I'm going back to these items, and they just seem like they're the same to me again. We talked about the potable water, but when we use WID 1 and WID 2, I think about it as potable. And this one, I'm thinking it has to be wastewater, which is probably not wastewater.
This is also drinking water. It's potable water.
Well, then you answered my question up, and I just need to let it seep. This is very new to me, so thank you for that clarification.
Anyone else? No? I do not have any cards.
I'll move approval of item D5.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Negretti. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D6, purchase a fiber optic splicing trailer. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council award a contract to Mobile Tech Trailers Incorporated in the amount of $25,580.75, which includes sales tax and delivery, for the purchase of a fiber optic splicing trailer.
Thank you. Council members, any questions of staff? Anyone? No? And I do not have any speaker cards. So can we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Oh, okay.
Motion by Mr. Cox, seconded by Mr. Kennedy. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D7, additional appropriation for legal expenditures for remainder of fiscal year 2017-2018 for general fund and airport operations. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council approve Resolution Number 18-029 and the Board of Directors approve Resolution Number SCLAA-18-001, authorizing additional appropriations for General Fund and Airport Operations Fund legal expenditures for fiscal year 2017-2018.
Thank you. Questions by council members?
Yes. Since we're looking to approve the $400,000 from the general fund, what other resources would the city be passing by if this is approved? In other words, what city-related costs come from the general fund? And specifically, what will the $400,000 and the $1 million pay for when we reappropriate it? What is the figure that you believe will be additional?
Madam Mayor, I can answer that. It sounds like the first question was, what else does the general fund pay for? Excuse me. And so the general fund pays for all the central services as well as direct services provided by police, fire, public works, engineering. Although some of those services are supported by fees, they're all considered general revenues that support those activities. The second question sounded like it was related to what else could we be using this money for, if not spending it on legal activities. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess, to answer that question, it would be all of those things. So if we're not spending it on the legal bills, it could be available to remain in reserves and or be spent on any other activity directed by the council to do. In this particular case, the $400,000 increase estimate is based on completing the payment of invoices to date, as well as it also includes an expectation of what is to remain for the end of the year. And so hopefully that answers your third question. In both the general fund and the airport, there was an analysis to determine what we needed to pay the bills through March, as well as complete the balance of the year.
So it says additional appropriations will cover the legal expenditures incurred in March. What did we incur in March with legal expenses?
Well, it's not that it's incurred through March. So if you read that, so that when the budget was originally adopted in June, it included a number in both funds for legal expenditures as they were anticipated to be incurred throughout the year. An additional mid-year adjustment was made in December for the airport and in February for the general fund. And as we now have approached March, more appropriation is needed to pay the bills that we have received through March. And an additional request is being made in the staff report to anticipate what the remaining bills would be for the rest of the year.
So then if an estimated additional appropriation of $400 is needed for the general fund, where are you getting that money?
So that money is being appropriated from fund balance. Currently, there's about $5 million of fund balance for the general fund.
So general fund and fund balance are two different funds.
No, it is the fund balance in the general fund. So it's basically the savings account, the savings side of the general fund.
So we're dropping from our reserves?
Correct.
Don't we have like a 5% or something like that?
We're at about 9%.
Oh, we are? Oh,
Yeah,
last time I thought.
at the end of the audit, It was
And
just
then,
recently
so
reported.
when you take from the fund to appropriate to the general fund, you will then take about that $1 million to help with airport.
No, the airport
That's
request is being appropriated from the airport's reserves.
Oh, is that where we did the inner loan? The inner loan.
That is
fund?
correct.
Oh, got it. All right,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Move approval of, which item was it?
D7.
D7?
D7. Mm-hmm.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Negretti. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D8, settlement, agreement, and mutual release of claims by and between the City of Victorville, Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, and ComAv Technical Services LLC and ComAv LLC. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council and Southern California Logistics Airport Authority Board of Directors approve the settlement agreement and mutual release of claims.
Thank you. Any questions by council members of staff?
Yes. Would staff be able to address the settlement points that were negotiated for the final settlement between the city and ComAv? And when will the settlement be executed by both parties?
If you want to do that, or I can do it. Basically, the settlement is simply a agreement by both sides to drop all of the litigation that exists between both parties, for both parties to basically assume all of their own legal costs with respect to that. And in consideration for doing that, we are entering into a 5-year lease with 2 5-year options on Building 681 at a lease rate that we believe is justifiable under market conditions.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I do not have any speaker cards, so can we have a motion?
Move approval of item D8.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Negretti, seconded by Ms. Gomez. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Now we move on to item D10.
D9.
D9.
D9, I'm sorry, D9. Standard sublease agreement for Hangar 681, ComAv Technical Services LLC, ComAv. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority approve the standard sublease agreement by and between ComAv and the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority.
Thank you. Any questions of...
I have a question. I'm assuming that if this is approved by the city council, that no document would be signed until the item before that we just approved is signed and recorded.
That is correct. We would sign the settlement agreement first, and then this is the sublease that is contemplated by that settlement agreement.
So does that mean that we're going to see this back onto the consent calendar?
Now, if you approve it tonight, we'll have the authorization to execute it at this time.
And when was it that the settlement would be executed by both parties?
It'll be circulated by, in fact, I think we may even have a copy already signed by the other party, so you are authorizing the airport authority to sign on behalf of the airport authority and the city.
So do we have a date?
Probably tonight, and it'll be effective today.
Thank you.
Is it safe to assume this has been reviewed by management and by a city attorney, and that it is not necessary for me to read it to make sure it's got all the things in it that it needs to have?
Yes, it's safe to assume that. The settlement agreement was drafted by our office, and the sublease is the standard form sublease that we have always participated on and have reviewed.
One last thing. I know Kennedy wanted to ask a question out here. I just wanted to remind him if he still wanted to ask the question about something about sublease and clarification or of some sort. If not, I don't need to remind him.
I think there was an issue as to why this is called a sublease as opposed to a direct lease, and the reason for that is because the actual property that we are leasing is still subject to a master lease between ourselves and the United States Air Force. We do not have fee title to this at this point, so we in turn are basically a lessee So we are now subleasing the property that we got from the federal government to this third party.
Else?
Madam Mayor, move approval of D9.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Negretti, seconded by Ms. Gomez. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D10, request for additional appropriations
I would
to
ask-
support.
Yeah, I would ask the council members Cox and Kennedy recuse themselves because they have property on the golf course and therefore have a conflict of interest.
Okay, thank you. Request for additional appropriations to support the Green Tree Golf Course operations. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council approve Resolution Number 18-028, authorizing additional appropriations to support the operations of the Green Tree Golf Course for fiscal year 2017-2018.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Yes. I have several questions on this item. Would the city attorney brief first the audience of this item, please?
Certainly, this is a request to basically appropriate funds so that the city manager can remain in compliance of two contracts. The funds would be for the continued maintenance of the Green Tree Golf Course. Without this appropriation, we believe that the existing contract with Sierra Golf Management would fall into default, and we would be liable for that default. And more importantly, we believe that the agreements pertaining to the original cogen bonds from 2006 would be jeopardized, as would the letter of credit, which could create some significant financial exposure to the city.
And then for staff, what was the rationale then in 2006 to put up so much collateral that could put the city in such an unfathomable circumstance? And why was the golf course so valuable then? Please provide a rationale for the historical understanding.
Madam Mayor and members of the council, as to the history, in the history of the golf course started well before 2006. In fact, the golf course, I believe, was acquired back in 1978-ish, and it was actually acquired as the residents in the community appealed to it to take it over and actually incorporate it as a recreational amenity into its park and rec system. And it has done so similar to other recreational facilities, parks, community buildings, and so forth, and largely has been subsidized, just as all other park facilities, by the general fund. It just so happens that in the case of the golf course has the best opportunity to minimize the level of subsidy as compared to other facilities in the city that don't generate revenues. As to the use of the facility to secure bonds, there was a very complicated financing to issue bonds to help support the growth of the Victorville Municipal Utility, and it started in Foxborough, where we currently still provide the provisions of electricity. It expanded to eventually include provisions of electrical services out at the Southern California Logistics Airport. But to get things started, there was a need for funds to start that original endeavor. And the city at that time chose to do so by issuing lease revenue bonds, where in addition to the golf course, it also levered fire stations, it also levered other parks facilities, even City Hall for that fact, and basically used those facilities as collateral in providing a security mechanism to issue the bonds. These are lease revenue bonds that are actually paid for through the city's utility fund, and the city utility operation has been making payments on those bonds and is current on those bonds. But to serve as collateral, there were a number of operating covenants, but particular to this item, along with the other facilities, there was an agreement by this council back then that it will continue to operate and maintain the facilities so as to not diminish the value of those facilities in the event there were larger issues of default. We don't see that larger issue of default occurring, but there still are covenants, legal covenants, contractual covenants that are in place that we believe, or that the city is, in fact, bound to adhere to. So this item is brought back to you largely because, as a part of the budget process, we have separated out the golf course budget because 2 members have to recuse themselves, so we've separated it out largely for that reason, so that the council can collectively vote on that item. In this particular year, the council voted 2-1 in support of funding the golf course, but government code requires that in the case of an expenditure of funds, that a majority of the body, so you need at least 3 votes to approve this budget. So this item is being brought back while we've continued to operate the golf course and fund the golf course operation. We've done so without budget appropriation, so the primary reason for us bringing this back to you for consideration is so that we can actually establish an appropriation in our budgetary framework. Absent that, then it does call into question our ability to continue operating the golf course without a budget appropriation. And the concern becomes that if the council does not provide 3 votes tonight, that there could become an issue, a legal issue, where likely we would have to expend a significant amount of legal money trying to defend what likely would be an invitation of perhaps even litigation as it relates to not adhering to these contractual obligations that the council had participated in.
If the budget failed 2-1, how is it possible to continue operating and maintaining, and why can't it continue in that format as it has thus far?
I believe, it's my belief that if the council does not provide 3 votes tonight, that staff would be compelled to providing notice not only to Sierra Golf Management that it does not have a budget appropriation to satisfy the remaining term on its contract. It's also going to have to do similar to the trustee of the bonds, and there's no telling how what the exact reaction is going to be, but we do believe it's going to invite significant cost, a cost that's much greater than the actual subsidy that's being requested to support the golf course.
Of the $23,625,000 that were borrowed for these lease bonds, how much is left to pay back and how much is pending to date?
Current outstanding amount on the bonds is $51,925,000 approximately.
How long is it going to take us to pay that amount, even though we have a contract ending June 2019?
The exact term, I believe they were 30-year. I have to go back and find out when the term of the bonds are complete. I can follow up with you on that. But being that these were issued in 2006, we probably have got...
The lease that secures these bonds runs through 2040 at a minimum and can go as long as 2050.
Okay, so if there's a contract coming up in a year and we still have to pay $51 million or so, how can we do that within 1 year? Not possible. What are options?
So that's not exactly what's happening here. There's 2 separate contracts, and really what we're attempting to do here is bring to you this item in the framework of identifying what your contractual obligations are, and we don't see it as an option as staff for you to violate those contracts as the council. 2 separate contracts. The Sierra Golf contract has little over 1 year remaining on its term. It's the smaller of the liability, but irrespective of its smaller liability in comparison to the bonds, it likely could invite some legal consequence. Certainly the bonds speak for themselves as they are currently outstanding to the order of $51 million. I'd hate the idea of having to give a notice to a trustee tomorrow to figure out how the bondholders are going to react. But I believe the exposure is very significant.
So, Andre, in my conversation with you, we talked about the possibility of having options after the contract is done. I'm hearing that that's not an option.
One of the potential options would be to sit down with the bank. First off, if we are in default, we are going to have no option but to try and sit down and figure out some other way of doing this. But in terms of, like Keith said, there are two different contracts. Sierra Gulf, we need a fund for an additional year at least, and then see what the options are. With respect to the bonds and these properties that are collateral, we may have to talk to the bank to see if there's some option. I don't know what it would be to put up some other form of collateral. The problem is we don't have, I don't think, any valuable collateral to replace the golf course with. So we're somewhat at the mercy of the banks. We can explore options, certainly. We just don't know what those are at this point.
Okay, so I strongly believe that this is wrong. Through various conversations with the public at large in Victorville, I've come to know that this is not what the community wants, but I was not here when the decision was made by the council then makeup, which was Terry Caldwell, Joanne Allman, Bob Hunter, Rudy Cabriales, and Mike Rothschild. I didn't get to vote on it. However, I also knew that the people of Victorville, they don't want to suffer a breaching of a contract. Therefore, I really don't have a choice, because if I vote no, the city will be at a default, exposing us to litigation, and it's going to cost the people in the city of Victorville a lot of money. So for that reason, I'm going to vote yes, asking the council to reconsider other options to agendize the contract for July 2nd, 2019. Have any more questions?
I do have some cards. Eric Napier, and after Eric, Lionel Bennett.
Hello, my name is Eric Napier, and I would like to talk to the council members that are voting on this resolution. I've noticed that the amount of players on the golf course has increased, or it seems to appear that way living on the golf course. The golf course has been a good neighbor to me, and I'd like to be a good neighbor to them, and hopefully that they get to continue to do business. I do play golf once in a while, and I do like to play it on the local golf course. I am concerned too about the legal issues that you talked about, and what would happen if the golf course closes. What happens to that property? Does it become just open public land or something like that? And I've noticed that the open public lands in our area tend to gather garbage from illegal dumping, has a lot of tumbleweeds, and a lot of homeless camps. And I think with the golf course there and being maintained, that it'll keep the area looking nice. I admit I don't know that much about politics, but I would like to support the local golf course. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Linnell Bennett, and I live on the golf course. When I called the city about this meeting, I was greeted with a welcome to the city of Victorville, a great place to live, work, and play. And I was sitting in the audience back here. I noticed that our symbol, our
Logo.
Thank you, logo, has a golf course, if you will, flag on it. I've lived on the golf course for 16 years. My parents lived on the golf course for 30 years. There are approximately 1,000 homes on the Green Tree Golf Course. Residents that purchase these homes purchase them to live on a golf course. Many homes don't have backyard fences and or have short fences. This will become a security issue if you don't continue with the golf course. Family safety, home security will be compromised. not to mention the loss of property value that each and every homeowner will incur if the golf course is shut down. There's a golf course in Apple Valley, too. There's a golf course in Silver Lakes. There's a golf course in Hesperia. Victorville has been known for being a golf course, for having the golf course. We've had professional tournaments at our golf course. You get off on Palmdale Road to go to the Superior Court, to go to City Hall, to go to the police station, to go to the car lots. The first thing you're going to see is the Victorville Golf Course. If we let that go and it becomes tumbleweeds and a place for the homeless to live, what is that going to say about our city? The golf course has many local business owners that golf on our golf course. The owner of La Quinta Inn and his friends golf there regularly. The owner of Firestone Tires golfs there regularly. And we have noticed that there have been many more golfers attending the golf course recently, including high schools, bringing the students there to learn how to golf. It is a place to play. It is a place for young and old, and also a nice environment to have. The gentlemen that take care of our golf course right now do a really good job. They work hard, and we want to see them still stay employed, keeping the golf course together. What else did I say? I urge the council to continue to fund the golf course, to continue to fund the gentlemen that work on the golf course, and to make all the homeowners on the golf course feel safe by having the security of the golf course and not losing our home value. That's my main thing. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Now I have Ronnie Bricky, and then after Ronnie, Ernesto Lopez, and then Pastor Porras, but I think he's gone. Ronnie Bricky? There's no Ronnie here? Ronnie Bricky? Brickey? No? Okay, Ernesto Lopez. Pastor Porras. Guess they're not here. Did you have a card?
My name is William Corrales. I live in La Villa Drive in Victorville, near Galileo.
Yeah, this is item D10. Did you have something for D10?
Yes, I'd like to speak in favor of approving the funds. I moved here with my wife of 46 years. In 91, part of the Air Force Base, and retired.
I'm sorry, you did fill out a card?
He has.
Yeah.
Oh, the card?
Yeah.
Okay.
To the city clerk right there. Perfect. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, go right ahead and speak.
We are members. We've been members for quite a few years. When I first got here in 91, we spent 15 years. We hadn't played golf. We just started to play. You see, with my wife, we play there about five days a week. And we've played golf in the other cities in Hesperia and Apple Valley. And sometimes we play golf in Thailand. And we find that this golf course is a special golf course. It's different than the others. It's linear. It's like going on a safari because you're not double backing on yourself. It's unique. It's better. I'd say it's the best golf course in the high desert. And we appreciate you keeping it open for us. We're not rich. We're middle class, retired. And I find that the reason why we actually purchased the house near the golf course is because the golf course makes, well, if you look at the seal up there, it says home of the San Bernardino County Fair. Why do they have that on there? It's to make Victorville stand out as not just a town you drive past when you go to Las Vegas. It makes it stand out as something more than that. Hesperia has a golf course. Apple Valley, Atlanta, they have their baseball stadium. What does Victorville have? And the golf course makes Victorville stand out. It is a special golf course. And we appreciate you keeping it open for us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor, I apologize for not having turned a card in.
That's
I did
perfectly
not
okay.
anticipate speaking, but I do have a card, and it's for this item, D8. Do I have 3 minutes?
Mr. Caldwell, you have 3 minutes.
Thank
yes.
you. Well, in 3 minutes, I can't go through the whole history, but there's 3 or 4 points that I think are important in justification for the city continuing the course. First, and maybe foremost, many of us in this room have lived through the golf course going back to Desert. Many years ago, the former owner pledged the property as security for an obligation. He couldn't satisfy the obligation, and the asset was sold. And the people who bought it said they didn't have any interest in a golf course, and they turned off the water. And when they did, that golf course went back to Desert. Ultimately, the city council, in an effort to resolve the blight, acquired that golf course and spent a significant amount of money to rehabilitate it and bring it back. And why did the city do it? The list of reasons is endless, but one of the most important reasons is that golf course is on the main entrance to the city of Victorville. And when it went back to Desert, it looked terrible. And when you're trying to win friends and influence people and recruit business and industry into your city and they see tumbleweeds on the main entrance to the city, makes the job of promoting this city a whole lot more difficult. Another reason, and I would suggest maybe you want your staff to look into it, but when this happened back then, one of the things that was considered was turning the golf course property into usable lots so that it could be built on or used for some other purpose. At that time, the opinion was it couldn't be done. When Clyde Tatum built the course, before the city incorporated, there are CC&Rs that require that that property be left in perpetuity to open space. So if you don't have a golf course and you have to leave it in open space, you're going to go right back to the mess that we had before. It is used widely. There's a lot of youth programs associated with it. The decline in property values when that course went back to Desert last time was huge. And it's not just the property owners who pay a heck of a price, but so does the tax revenues that are associated with the operation of the course and the businesses that are around it. So I would urge this council to continue the funding of that golf course and to keep it in the pristine quality it is. As the gentleman before me, it's a unique asset. It is the logo for the city of Victorville. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Anyone else would like to speak? No? Any other discussion by council members?
I think, finally, Madam Mayor, Council, city staff works very hard to try to provide the best and the highest quality recreational program for its residents. And its residents, 120,000 or so, is a very diverse group of folks, including young and old. The golf course actually is a part of our Parks and Recreation system, and it's one of the unique elements of our system that actually can cater to all of those demographics, young and old. Certainly there's become a huge dependence upon that facility in the form of it providing recreational services. Taking action against it actually reduces the recreational benefit and value to your residents. So staff is urging you We need 3 votes to get the appropriation so we can continue. First, that would signify your continued support of the recreational services that we offer to our residents. But secondly, it would also signify your desire not to intentionally default on contractual obligations.
Thank you. At this time, I call for a motion.
Madam Mayor, move approval of item D10 and approve resolution number 18-028.
Second.
So I have a comment. In the past, I have said create a CFD, and that's something that we could potentially look at, and that's something that I would advocate for in the future. But like our city manager said, we don't want to put the city in liability and have this breach of a contract to continue to create litigation that's very unnecessary. So I'm going to vote with my colleagues.
Motion by Mr. Negretti, seconded by Mayor Garcia. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries with Mr. Cox and Mr. Kennedy being absent.
Sergio.
So we're on council reports?
Public comments now. Okay, so now we move on to public comments. And I do have some cards. I don't know if the people are still here. I think it's almost midnight also. Okay, the first person that I have is Mary Moni. And after her will be El Cotillo. No, he's not here, is he?
Hi, my name's Maddie. I am here first and foremost to introduce myself and my presence to the High Desert. I am the Vice President of the Nuva Reach Achievement Foundation. We support youth empowerment, youth entrepreneurship empowerment, and we provide education and support to those youth all the way through college. But I also do real estate development and economic development. And sitting here in this meeting, I noticed that that's importance to the city of Victorville. So my question that just arose is, does the city of Victorville give an incentive or support businesses that would bring substantial employment? The reason for asking such thing is that I have a business that I can bring to Victorville, but it's just a matter of I'm short about $15,000 to do so. So given the budgets and the things that you guys have mentioned.
Someone from Economic Development will contact you either after the meeting or if we have your card and have that discussion with you.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I have your card here, so I'll pass it on to them. Javier Vasquez. Mabel Villalobos. Rosario Perez. Betty Schroeds. Or Strodes, I think it's Strodes. Ernest Backhorn, Brent, Stephen? Nope. Okay, we don't have any one that wants to speak during public comment. So we move on to reports from city manager.
Nothing to report.
It's too late to agendize anything. Did we say after 10 nothing gets agendized, or was that?
We're supposed to not consider new business, so after 10.
After 10
you
o'clock.
have the ability to make exceptions to that if you wanted to.
We will skip item E3, and I don't know if there's anything for E4, reports from council members.
Yes. Yes. I know we skipped E4, but I'm still going to vocalize and make it a part of the today's record. I was looking forward to get a couple of things on the agenda item, and these are as follows. I wanted to have the support of the council to agendize discussion and possible action regarding future options related to the Victorville Golf Course no later than after the contract reaches its completion on June 2019 for the July 2nd, 2019 agenda meeting that we have. The second item that I wanted to bring also to council was to bring a sunshine ordinance in terms of allowing the public time to review agendas. And the third item that I wanted also to get approval today was to agendize discussion for an electronic voting system, which we already have. We just don't implement it. And I was looking forward to these three items. Nothing to share after that. Thanks.
Anyone have any reports? No? Meeting is adjourned.